You know, I was reminded that it's Lent. And my aunt, God bless her, is like, it's Lent. You know, you might want to be a little nicer. Like, hey, you know, when a leopard has stripes and a tiger has an attitude, it's kind of hard to change that. You know, you can't change stripes on a zebra. It's kind of who you are. You see, when some of you go, Big Sills has a gimmick. The gimmick would me being nice Big Sills. That would be a gimmick, Billy boy. That would be the gimmick. Me being me. It is what it is. Or it's something the Jalen Hurts, I don't know. So I just got to go back to being Big Sills. And that's where we are today, here on a Recap Friday. Legendary Eagle moves, baby. Woo! Tough-ass schedule in 2025. You're playing a shitload of playoff teams on that schedule. Yes, sir, baby. And Howie's shopping at TJ Maxx. This guy's been shopping at TJ Maxx all week. Hey, that fell off the back of the truck. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the Rolex that ticks. Oh, hey, yeah, that's a Rolex. That's what Howie's been buying this week. Rolexes. And Gucci Mama bags. Not Gucci, but Gucci Mama bags. Holy shit. Long snapper sign. How you doing? Emilio Acho. Joshua Uche. Like a Mexican drug lord's name. Joshua Uche. I don't know, man. Nor do I care. I love Xander's line. It's a great. Now, there's good upside there. And I'm like, yeah, thank God he's only $1 million. He is. That's right. Because you can get rid of him for a bag of Skittles. Emilio Acho. We're going to recap the legendary signs. I am officially, by the way, do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. First 15 minutes, as we tell you all the time, some of the most important parts of the show is right in the first 15. Please hit that like button. All super chats go to the top. Our very first Big Sills bold prediction. 2025. The Philadelphia Eagles are in a reboot year. Signed, Big Sills, March 14th, 2025. Reboot 2025. Reboot. That's what it is. Now, what does reboot mean? Does that mean you're not going to be competitive? No. Does that mean your roster's taking a step back? Yes. Hey, look, I know you're all in love with Keely Ringo and Nolan Paper Mache Smith and N'Kobe Rubber Band Dean. I know you're all in love with that. I get it. Okay? Thank God you won the Super Bowl, or you would be shitting on this team for their moves or lack thereof. Hey, man, mortgages due. You had to pay the mortgage. And that's where you are. You have to pay the mortgage. That doesn't mean you're not going to be in the conversation. What you did was you're trying to eliminate as much damage financially to your football team as possible to keep you ahead of the game. You're not even with the game. You're still ahead of the game. You're the champs. You are the champs. You're still ahead of the game. Many people will tell you flat out, hey, man, I don't give a shit how good a coaching you have. It is all about the Jimmies and Joes. You don't have good players on your team, and I'm not saying you don't. Because 95% of you will come in here and listen to only 5% of what I say. Sileo's hate. I'm not hating. Common sense. You are rebooting your roster. Plain and simple. I don't care how you want to dissect it. You've got new players. The 2024 Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team is gone. It is gone forever. You are not that team. You don't have those players. You do not have those players. And you do not have compatible players to them. Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, even the actions of your own general manager didn't dictate to what some of you are saying. Now, look, most of you are going to be on the high with Howie here. And for the record, I have not said you were not going to be the team to beat. It's a reboot. Get this. I can already, and I'm not even looking at the chat room right now because until, again, supers go to the top. I don't even have to look at. I'm not talking shit on you. I'm not talking shit on you. Are you still the team to beat? Yes. Are you rebooting your roster? Yes. Two things can be true. Stop moaning. Stop moaning. Did I say there's not a great chance you could win the Super Bowl? I did not say that. You are rebooting. You're not freaking listening to me. I never at any way said one thing that you were not the lead pony in this race. Not one time. By the way, I am not going to address anybody right now who's not agreeing with what I'm saying because you're blind. If you don't think losing 5 starters on your defense is rebooting with unproven players. 1 year does not make a freaking career. Absolutely not. This is why the NFL every year, every NFL team reboots. Why wouldn't the freaking Eagles reboot? More so because the Eagles had a lot of good players that other teams wanted, and you made the commitment not to spend the money on that side of the ball. The Eagles have chose to take apart the number 1 defense in the NFL. That was by design. Look at this dickhead. Sky is falling? I just said you're hey, Mr. Reach Around. I just said you're the team to beat. This guy's crying. Look at it. Hey, we don't do. We say we're going to go. What? I didn't say that. You're the team to beat, jackass. What are you talking about? You're in a reboot year. Financially, fiscally, and with question marks. How are you not hearing that? Holy cow. Some of you, seriously, have a lot to be desired on emotions, on how you get jacked up over trigger words. When will you beat down on Mark Holmes again? Trey, why would I want to cover a crappy-ass football team? But we'll see how Mark's doing next week. They did take a blowtorch to the number 1 defense in the league. They took a blowtorch financially, and they chose to take the blowtorch. I don't know how you don't see that. I don't really care if you don't. Reality, 5 starters off your team. Okay? It is a reboot. What does that mean again? If you like to fill it in yourself and think that reboot means losing, that's a you thing. I never said that. I never in any way said that. You assumed that. It's funny. I said the same thing to Xander. He got triggered too. I never said you weren't going to be competitive for a Super Bowl. It's the words that are being used because you're sensitive because of what you're seeing and what you're watching. Okay? Reboot. Retool. Reset. Howie said it. Howie said they were going to make some decisions and it's not going to look the same. He was preparing all of you. Stills, a new season is like a new book in a series. The last book was awesome. Correct. This is, hey, Bob, you know what this is like? This is like Indiana Jones. Hey, I love Temple of Doom. I love The Last Crusade. I actually like all the Indiana Joneses. That's exactly what this is. Follow-up has started. Shaky, the new characters and some of our favorites got whacked. It's only chapter 1. That's exactly right. Still a good series. So it's just fun laughing at the disaster in Dallas. Hey, Trey, you don't have to worry about the Cowboys, dog. Cowboys ain't going anywhere. As long as Jerry Jones is alive, that team's not going anywhere. Where are they going? Big TV ratings, big TV stars, Micah Parsons and Lawrence going after one another. You don't win. You know what you do? You don't win Super Bowls in Dallas. You get paid in Dallas, even if you're an average player. You don't win significant games in Dallas. That's a fact. That's right. 37. They're the king of Cancun. Regular season's over. They're in Cancun. Eagles are prepared for the playoffs. Hey, man. No doubt. The guy who runs the Cowboys looks like Skeletor. I mean, bro, where are we going? There's no such thing as there's no such thing. Here's the difference. Wait a minute. You know what a reboot in Dallas is compared to a reboot in Philly? A reboot in Philly is this. M. Reyes. 14-3. So the Eagles might win 12 games and still be in the conversation for a Super Bowl. Okay. Tougher schedule, less talented players. In Dallas, reboot means 5 wins, going nowhere. That's a reboot in Dallas. Look at this. You know how Jerry Jones makes the Eagles' job easier? Just Jerry being Jerry. Jerry is the most dangerous person in the NFL. Do you know why? He thinks he knows what he's doing. And it's 30 years of showing you he doesn't. Howie Roseman, on the other hand, has shown you second time has been better as a GM. He's showing you he's got a game plan. Dallas doesn't have a game plan. Hey, for the record, I want to make it very clear here. I say reboot. I don't have one problem with what Howie Roseman's doing with the team. Some Some people in Philly are like, oh, yeah, eagle-colored glasses, guys. I mean, we're going to talk about it here. Look at him. This guy can do anything, and they're going to say, great move. And that you are saying that. Great move. Come on, man. These guys are to fill 90 players on a roster to get you to training camp so that, you know, these guys are that you signed. These are protection to make sure that your starters don't get hurt in camp. And if one guy, maybe the guy from New York, can actually compete, the rest of them, shit, you know, the most significant guy that they signed is probably the long snapper. I mean, he's probably the most significant guy they signed that's actually going to get playing time. Mr. Reach Around was your funniest rip yet. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button. Those Eagles are like Rocky, Mickey, and Apollo, right? That's right, man. Blaine, listen, I never said you weren't going to contend for a Super Bowl again. It just might be instead of a 14-win team, you might be a 12-win. You could be an 11-win. That doesn't mean by the end of the year, you're not going to be a Super Bowl champion. Do you know how hard it is to win a title every single season? You know how hard it is to be competitive in the NFL every year and to be a 10-plus season win team? You know, what's really crazy is, what is it now? The Eagles have 3 years in a row where they've been over 11 wins or more. Unbelievably great success. That is really great success. I mean, kudos. And if you have to go from 14 to 11 to 14 again, then maybe to 15, what do you care how it looks? Okay, again, I'm saying you might. This is a reboot. Get over yourselves, man, and don't get hung up on words. Reboot is not a bad thing. It actually has great connotations to it. You know what it means? We're rebooting for even greater greatness. Why can't you look at it as a positive? Stills, can you imagine if we win the Super Bowl in I thought the year before the Eagles took apart Kansas City, I thought they were in a reboot. When they beat the Niners, who did they really have on that team outside of Chris Jones and Mahomes and Travis Kelce? They had a young defense. They rebooted and won. They did it. You can do it. Stop crying. It's unbecoming. Got a great schedule coming up ahead of you. I mean, do you know on the road, I think you're playing 7 of your 9 games on the road are all playoff teams. This ain't going to be easy this year. Washington's got an easier schedule. Hit the like button, guys. It's a reboot year. It's all right. That doesn't mean, once again, like I said, you're not going to be competitive in the room here. So let's do this. Let's take a look at Howie Roseman's offseason so far. Here are the guys he signed. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback. Kenyon Green, a bust. A.J. Dillon. Joshua Omito Acho Uchea. Harrison Bryant. And Adoree Jackson, probably, and your new long snapper. Okay? What does that mean to you? How do you look at his offseason so far? What would you give Howie's offseason? Give me a grade. What would you give him as an offseason so far? Let's do this. I'll go with what you say. Okay? C. What else? C. Okay? C. C plus. C plus. D minus. Huh. Incomplete. It's fair. Give it a B. Of course you do. A B. A minus. Xander, order that. Mr. Reach Around custom jersey for Sills. I think he will look nice into that. The meet and greet. Number 69 on the back. How you doing? Handsome hustler. Senor, baby. A plus. A plus so far. Now, wait a minute. Let's take a look at that. Senor, expand. Why do you think A plus? I'm not saying you're wrong. Why would it be an A plus? This guy's stupid. He don't know any better, senorita. But he may be right. Try expanding on your absolute fall into a comment that you could be right. He didn't mean that because he doesn't know what he's talking about the majority of the time. Senorita, why would you call it an A plus? I'm not ripping you for that. I'm ripping you because you actually stumbled into something. He's like, what I was just trying to be a smartass. How he's looking for the future instead of just 25. Future comp picks, enough money to pay Carter, Q, and Cooper. And may I add one more thing, senor? And still be competitive to win a Super Bowl. Let's finish that take. Right? And still be competitive to win the Super Bowl. Senor's right. It's an A+ offseason. Those moves don't mean anything except building a 90-man roster up. Okay? Get this. This is not another bad take. Even in that horrible meltdown of 23, they still won 11 games. They still were in the race to win the East. They were still in the race with 4 weeks left in the season to win home field advantage. And they fell apart because they didn't have a good core. 23 was the result of not having a good core of players and coaching. They've rectified a lot of that, and I agree. I think they got better. Get this. I think the Philadelphia Eagles have gotten so much better because of that disaster and because of how Howie dealt in 17 than in the 18th season. I think they are better prepared today than they have ever been to move forward, and I think he's doing it right. I brought this up this week, and I think it's the most important things that you have to look at with your GM. Discipline and patient. They're disciplined and patient. Can you imagine you're rebooting? Your GM is doing all the right things. A, he's going to shed more money, potentially more roster, and still keep you a 12-win team. Nobody does that. The Cowboys can't. Jerry said they were all in last year. No, they weren't. They didn't sign one free agent. And what happened? Quarterback gets hurt. It's an absolute colossal collapse in Dallas. You know what? I'll tell you what last year did to Dallas. Last year in Dallas, the collapse was so significant, I don't know if you could dig your way out of it for another couple of years. You didn't invest in younger players. You landed on wrong draft picks like Mozzie Smith. You overpaid for your corners. And you're going to overpay for a player who doesn't have the mindset to understand that it's about a unit and not you. Micah Parsons is a horrible teammate. You know why? He doesn't see that if you take out the few for the survival of the masses, That's what the NFL is in building a roster, and a championship roster at that. Okay? I mean, this week, I think the picks are funny because they knew the reaction. They're saving money because they have to pay people. You know, the really only move that you kind of scratch your head at, there's two of them. The Barkley extension, it's all right, I guess. And the C.J. Gardner-Johnson cut or trade. That's the only two you really go, well, all right. Vic must have okayed it. I told you this the other day. Hey, Vic may have said we can get away with it. Howie made that call, along with the owner. Vic had nothing to do with that. Vic could have begged that guy to keep him. Howie didn't do it. You mean to tell me you don't get this? You know what's funny? Every single person in here thinks that Vic Fangio saved a couple guys or didn't save a couple guys or we can live without. That's ridiculous. Who in their right mind wouldn't want every single player back off the number one defense in the league of a year ago? What coordinator wouldn't want every one of those guys back? It's asinine to think that he wouldn't want every guy back. It's asinine. Okay? But it's the business of the NFL. Vic said it's okay. We'll plug this. That's not how that worked. Yeah, don't worry. Take Orrin, take Isaiah. And then you know what you have the fan base doing? Hey, well, Sydney can do it. Really funny. Nobody went to Sydney last year when they needed a safety. They went to Tristan McCullum, like we said yesterday. When they needed a corner, they didn't go to Keely Ringo. They went to Isaiah Rodgers. Yeah, but Keely wouldn't. Yeah, okay. The coordinator don't even believe it. The coordinator didn't even believe that. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Give me a total on the likes. You guys have been great this week. Supers go to the top. I'll say this. How do I think he's done so far in free agency? You got the one guy you wanted, Bond. He's in the middle of the defense. You got the two guys in front of him. The question is, are you going to extend Jordan Davis? You probably are, even though I think he has not earned it. Moro Jomo and Milton Williams in the last 3 years have been better ball players. You moved Jordan to the nose, actually asking him to do less than he did. Thank you, Sean. This is why JAKIB is needed. We want Eagle talk. No one cares about the Phillies and Sixers. Keep it up, guys. Hey, Sean, wake me up in 25 games where the Phillies are. It's March 14th. You're not even in April yet. Holy shit. And the Sixers? As long as Josh Harris owns that team, their process is a joke. The Eagle process, look at the difference between the two organizations. The Sixers lie to you. Every year they lie to you. So much so, it has worn the fan base out. Not down. Out. You know the difference between Philly and LA? In LA, they can suck for a decade. And they have. Besides winning the Mickey Mouse championship during COVID, they have been terrible. And because they think they have LeBron, nobody cares about LeBron. But they don't care. You know why? It's a TV show out there. In Philly, you don't do the right thing, they don't give a shit anymore. Flyers used to be a prime sporting team to cover. Do you know why? Ever since Ed Schneider died, nobody cares. How many times can you keep talking process with no results? You can't even make it to an Eastern Conference final. Look at the Eagles. 3 Super Bowls in 8 years, 2 wins. 2 in the last 3. That's a process. Trust the process. That's what we're doing. That's what you're doing. You're trusting the process. Should you? Yeah. Here's a topic. Howie Roseman asked for patience. Philly fans are giving it to him. You know why? Howie's earned it. I don't care about these stupid. What's the guy's name? Mio Atzo. Harrison Buckner Bryant. Kenyon Martin. Oh, wait, Green. A.J. Brown Dillon. Adoree Jackson. Who cares? Okay? Rocks in a box. Rocks in a box. Howie Roseman asked for patience. You're giving it to him. Has he earned it? He earned it with me. Last year, he earned it with me. Reboot? That's not a negative word to me, only to you. You freaks took it as negative. I took it as part of the process. Philadelphia sports fans are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt in anything you do unless you win. You don't get the benefit unless you have results. Do you know why you're still on the victory parade? It's not because of the guys you lost or the guys that don't look like they're going to be impact signs. You guys are giving these guys, all the people that they've signed, the benefit of the fact that it's Roseman picking them. It's Roseman signing them. That's a lot of trust in a fan base. They're trusting that dude to do the right thing. Let me tell you what I've learned in 5 years covering you guys. You're hot and cold like me. There's no gray area like my grandpa would say. Flexen goes, I'm not. You're not giving them the benefit? Well, I'm sorry. Me, I am. 2 titles in 8 years, 3 Super Bowl appearances. You got a 700 win percentage in the last 4 years. Any take I have, I would just be ripping a process. I'm a results-driven dude. Do I have to change my fundamental thinking on how he does business in preseason? Yes. First 4 games of the year? Yes. Roster building? Yes. Why wouldn't you? When the results speak to it. It's been funny watching this week. They didn't win the Super Bowl. That's a different story. What did I tell you on February 10th? You validated everything you do. Has that changed in my approach since February 10th? Absolutely not. Could Jackson give us something like Patrick Robinson, who was considered a bust but just needed 1 year to fill in a gap? I don't know. I don't know who these guys are. Get this. I see people in here talking about A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon, in a secondary role, averaged 650 yards and caught about 25 passes a year in Green Bay. That's a pretty productive player. I like that sign. Health is the issue. There's your guy that's an outlier. By the way, that guy is 10 times better than Rashad Penny. He's a 10-time better player. That's not a shitty sign. That's a worthy risk. Okay, missed the full season. I get it. So did Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers just signed a $7.5 million contract per year to play corner, starting corner in Minnesota. Okay. And lost 5 starters and likely will not be the number 1 D again. But look at the other playoff teams who lost as well. We'll be fine. Vic Fangio. Bro, don't get caught up on the number 1 defense in the NFL. Get caught up on being the number 1 team in the NFL. Who gives a shit about the number 1 defense? It's about the number 1 team. A lot of y'all are sensitive. Grow a pair. He ain't even downing the Eagles. Yeah, but you know what? They hear reboot and they assume. Dylan Sonning looks like a tush push is gone. I don't know. I think they were awful successful with it. Yeah, man. I wrote it down. Howie Roseman asked for patience. You're going to give it to him. Yeah. Yes. I am. I don't give patience. Dude, the only people wait a minute. I'm going to show you something and tell you something here. The only people that I have patience with are champions. I only have patience for champions. You're the only people that get latitude and patience from me. That's it. There's only one place where you look at someone and go, I trust you. How do you trust a person who constantly has failure like Josh Harris and the Sixers? How do you buy a ticket? You know, the NBA tickets are some of the most expensive tickets in all of sports. How do you even go to the Philly fan base, ask for a new barn, and then raise ticket prices and then tell you and lie through your teeth that trust the process? I would look at that guy and I would say, where have you built that equity up with me? If you were my boss, I'd quit. Dombrowski's kind of, but he has a resume of winning everywhere else. I'm good with Dave. Daniel Briere and Tortorella, those guys are good people. They're trying to do the right thing, build up goaltending, blue line. Oh, I get it. I see it. He's doing the same shit that they did when they were in Tampa, when he was in Tampa trying to build that team up, when they went out and got Hobby Bullen and all them guys. Dave Anderchuk, they brought in from Buffalo. I get it. I see it. You know when people are making and putting people on the right squares. You know what's going on. You see it. Don't you see what he's doing here? He's backing up the payroll, preparing for the future, trying not to and damage the integrity of the roster too much. He's putting faith in the fact, he's putting a lot of faith in the fact that the guys he has in the second teams that are going to step up. That's where your blind faith is. I'm gonna pull something on you. All right, and I told you this story. Some of you may have heard me say this to you. You know, I had a chance to talk to the Miami Hurricane team years ago when they were getting ready to play Notre Dame. And they ended up kicking the shit out of them down there at Hard Rock. I asked how many people in the building believed in Christ. People put their hand up, and I said, got blind faith that Jesus is going to be and take you to the right place, which I do too. Right? Blind faith. You believe in your God. I do. I believe there's a God. You have to have a sincere passion for that. I was raised my entire life like that. Well, when you're an athlete, there's a lot of similarities to that. You have to have blind faith that your organization has made the right decisions with the drafting, the salaries, and that they're going to lead you to the promised land of winning a Super Bowl. Where Howie and the Eagles have over the Cowboys, they've never led them in the last 30 years without Jimmy Johnson to the promised land. How do you believe that? You can't. There's no faith in that. When you're in Philly, there's faith. You're going to win 12 games. You're going to be in contention for home field. There's a shot you're going to win the NFC East, barring injuries. People playing and excelling. People exceeding expectations. It's a blind faith. But you have to have blind faith in things that you've seen work. I told you about my experiences normally with Jimmy Johnson. You know why we all had blind faith with him? Every year we won. It was so uncommon to lose. One regular season loss in 3 years I experienced. One. And when we lost, it was out of hand. Unbelievable we lost. But we had a blind faith. We had a blind faith of success that we had done and created, and a culture we created in the locker room was going to carry us because the coach had set that culture. It doesn't matter for Philly if it's Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, or Nick Sirianni. It's something that you've won for the last 25 years. The Philadelphia Eagles have won the second most playoff games since 2000 of any team in the NFL. That's a culture. You want to hear something? The Eagles have won 20 playoff games since 2000. Do you want to know how many the Cowboys have won? 4. Who's got the culture? They won 4. You've won 20. In the last 20 years, combined, you have more wins in the playoffs than Washington, New York, and Dallas combined. Process. Emilio Acho. Good upside. Rocks in a box. Rocks in a box. I mean, only the Patriots, because of Brady, they won 30. Funny watching people. Yeah, you're giving them the benefit. Well, it's 25 years of benefit. Second most playoff. I wrote it down. Yeah, I wrote it down. I mean, what are you not believing in? Funny, I say reboot, you start crying, which I knew you would. Because that's how most people see reboot. They take it as a negative instead of looking at it for what it is. Reboot, and you're still one of the most successful teams. Stop crying. Here, I'll give you the number here. Here. Since 2000, 25 years. New England, 30. Philly, 20. Kansas City and Baltimore, 18. Third. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, 15. Fourth. San Francisco and Seattle, 5th, 14. The Giants, 8th, 11 with the Rams. I don't think people understand these signings are for depth. Yeah, and you're 90 man. If these players turn out, good for us. We still have the rest of the offseason and the draft. Yeah. Yes. And player development, which the last 2 years have been great. By the way, I'm sick and tired of hearing people telling me about the great drafts the last couple of years. Jordan Davis has not been and lived up to his draft pick. Nolan Smith has played 7 games. I wouldn't constitute that being a great pick yet. Nakobe Dean has showed he can't stay healthy. Yes, they've shown they can play. But have they shown they can be a long-term result that you want to have a core? How can you do that when you're always hurt? You think a good draft pick is a guy ending on IR every year? Now, the Nolan Smith one, to me, Nolan needed reps. That's what that's turned into. Let's see when he gets 18 games, 20 games. Okay? Let's see. Let's see what happens when you give. Hey, guys, I've told you this before. Some of you are crazy when you think sometimes when you give people more reps, that means the production comes down. Hit the like button, guys. Appreciate you. By the way, Jason Cole will come on at 4:30. Xander's going to hit us up at 3:30. Please hit the like button here. It's a reboot year. By the way, I've written down today my top 10 Eagles, my top 10 rosters on March 14th in the NFC. Also, the Eagles this year are playing a pretty significant schedule. Here. Let's take a look at it. As of right now, every one of these games are going to be competitive. On the road, Buffalo, Green Bay, Kansas City, the Chargers, Minnesota. You're playing a boatload of football teams, plus Washington. I think you're playing 7 of your 9 or playoff teams on the road. With a defense that's been rebooted. Home, Dallas, New York, Washington. You got Chicago improved. You got Denver. Denver's a good team, well coached. The Raiders, I don't know. The Rams, yes. Rams are a good organization. The Bucs are kryptonite to the Eagles. They got Washington. What is it? 11 of the 17 teams that you're playing this coming season are playoff teams. In a reboot year. Some of you may not like the word. I tried to define it as much as possible for you and how I see it. Never said you weren't going to be competitive and have a shot at winning another one. It's all a balancing act. Okay? And I see somebody in here going, Sills, it's a half a boot. Reboot. Well, you're going to have to rely on something that you didn't rely on a year ago at all during the regular season. That was your shitty passing game. I don't care what you say. Your passing game last year was shit. 29th. You don't spend $200 million on 29th. The only way that thing was not a factor is because you won a Super Bowl. You won it with the way you did not build the team. You won it and I think basically because of Barkley and the O-line. The money you spend, by the way, follow the money. That's what you want the team to look like. Somebody goes, but why 29th? Well, because your quarterback is not a consistent passer. Never has been. And you had a consistent and dominant run game. That's, by the way, still, you won the Super Bowl. I wouldn't get bent over the 29th, but you're going to have to improve that because you have lesser players on defense. You know what's crazy? You could debate to me all you want about Jalen Hunt being a replacement for Josh Sweat. Sure. Yours is theory. Mine is that guy gave you 40 sacks in 5 years and just signed a $20 million contract. And you think that that's going to be easier to replace. Well, here, let's do this. Let's at least settle in the middle. Well, that's going to be a question if he can. Williams. Can Mario Jomo play a 7-5-3 technique? Shit. Are you going to get more out of Jordan Davis because you lost Milton Williams? I doubt it. Xander keeps saying that, hey, I need more out of him. Well, that's not what the Eagles did last year. They asked him to do less. They moved him the nose. You know what you are when you're a nose? You're a slug. Barely any tackles, any numbers, anything. And you played 20 plays a game. That's not an extension guy. Especially for $12 million. Okay? Get this. Let's look at this. Look at this. Despite the most double-teamed DT in the NFL, Jordan Davis still had to hire. He was a nose tackle. And he played 20 reps a game. 20 reps a game. Mario Jomo played more. Mario Jomo was a better player. Milton Williams was a better player. Stop. Hey, Dan, he was really good for the 7 plays he was in. Okay. There were games that guy barely played. Facts. Try sticking with him, Twiz. And those other players now are being asked to lessen the double teams on Jalen Carter. I want to see that. I want to see it. I mean, hey, you want to hear something? Look what we're talking about with Jordan Davis here. He's a billion. Get this. He is a billion times better than Lazy Smith in Dallas. Okay? He is 1,000 times better. Still, Lazy Smith or Jordan. Jordan all day. Jordan all day. Sills, Howie's not grabbing guys off the corner. Dory Jackson, first round 18. Huss, if they're on the street. Kenyon Green was an absolute disaster in Houston. Okay? And I do see what you're saying, Bob. They had high value evaluations on these players. I get it. I see them. It's a great take by you. and the jobs that he's taken, you're looking at how the Giants evaluated him. The Texans evaluated him, the Patriots and the Packers. I don't have a problem with Dylan except for his health. Dylan, actually, of all those players that you're naming there, is actually the better of all of those guys because he's been more consistent outside of missing a year ago and the injuries. I got it. But he's had the better career. Uche had one season, and what is he? Had sacked in 3 years or something. I don't know. What is it? 4 sacks and 41 starts? I mean, I wouldn't call that productive. Kenyon, one of the worst guys, graded, like whatever you think of PFF. You know, it's funny, PFF and the Eagle faithful is trying to take a shit on CJ Gardner by talking about the touchdowns he surrendered. And yet, when you talk about pass coverage for safety, he was 5th in the league. They don't want to tell you that part of it. Gardner Johnson was 5th in pass coverage. And you got to always remember, in too high safety, the vulnerable people in that too high are always the safeties, not the corners. Okay? Know what you're looking at. I had a guy try to tell me about the salary cap yesterday and tell me you couldn't defer dead money. Yeah, you can. You could defer 2 years of dead money. You got a $25 million deal where you could split that up over 2 and have it carry over, and the cap goes up. So you can absorb it more. I told you, everybody's tradable. In today's NFL, because of the new collective bargaining agreement, they didn't want to get caught up in those Todd Gurley deals. Where back in the day, if you had a Todd Gurley deal, and let's just say that went on that cap, and that was on your cap every year, then it diminished. Now you can defer it, spread it out over 2. Funny listening to people talk like they know what the hell they're talking about. All you got to do is read the CBA. It's not that hard. Everybody is tradable. Well, look at the dead cap money. If they were to trade him this year, you know how many people in Philly are talking about the money that's owed it? You could split up $60 million over 2 years and then restructure once you sign a player. That's what they did to that Kevin Byard kid when they got him from Tennessee. They restructured the contract. Well, he's untradeable. Look at the money he's owed. What the hell do you know what you're talking about? Read a book. Oh, there's more. There is by far more pressure and stress on the coaching staff this year. And the scouting department. Finding the guy who fits. Let me ask you this. Who's been the most active guys? Washington, New England for sure. New England's terrible. Overpay and has been bad. I look at New England and all the money they spend. What do I see with get this. I see Howie's TJ Maxx moves. And I go, good. I see New England's moves. Who would you rather pay for? Joshua Acho or Milton Williams? I'd rather pay for Joshua Acho. Emilio Acho. Why? I get good players on my team, and I'm not going to spend $19 million on a guy who I think is overpaid. That's the tough cuts. That's the tough move on froms. Those are the things New England did. That's why New England was good for 20 years. because they did moves exactly like that. I'm not paying Darrelle Revis. I'm not paying Randy Moss. I'm not paying Richard Seymour. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to move on from them guys because you know why? I'll be good over 10 years. You might be good for 2 years and then suck for 7. How he's playing the percentages here. He's playing the percentages. Guys, he asks for your patience. And the only reason you should give it to him is because he's winning. And not just winning. The Cowboys win. But they don't win anything that matters. You know what a great year is in Dallas today? If they win the NFC East. You know what a great year in Philly is? If they win the Super Bowl. Look at the difference in expectations. Dallas wants to go to the Sun Bowl. You're fighting for the Super Bowl. Big Sil's only opinion I care about. What's Birds doesn't move in draft if it was tomorrow? You're the man. Thank you, Rich. Big Sil's only opinion I care about. I love that. Thank you very much. What's the Birds doesn't? I'm thinking you're saying next move in the draft if it was tomorrow. You're the man. If the draft were right now, I'm still going to hang my head on the edge. And I'll get a DT in the 3rd. I'll draft a tight end in the 2nd. That's where I'm at. I don't think nothing's changed. What in the world would make you think anything has changed except for one thing? Do you know what would be with these guys that they signed? What would be one thing that you could maybe get something and get a for instance of maybe the direction of what they I think there's going to be more of an emphasis on running the ball. You got a run blocking tight end. You got another running back. You didn't sign a wide receiver. You have no intentions of doing that. You elevated Kevin Patullo so far. To me, I think you're going to stay status quo and running the ball and being dominant. I'm even going to make this point to you. When I look at Mekhi Becton, he is not a priority. They want him at a certain price. If they wanted him, they would have pulled a Zach Bond on him. And they would have signed him. They would have signed him. He's not a priority. He's just not. By the way, having the number 1 defense in the NFL is not a priority. That was a luxury. Having a competitive defense is what they're aiming at. They're not looking to be number 1. They're looking to be good. Okay? And they believe in their young process. How about this one here? I was listening to the press conference of Josh Sweat in Arizona. Do you know what Vic Fangio told him prior to the Super Bowl? Man, I love this. This is old school shit. Did you hear him what he said? And I'm going to paraphrase it here. Yeah, Vic came to me and said, you have no responsibilities. You only have one job. Get that quarterback on the ground. I don't care about anything else. Get that guy on the ground. That's the only job you have. I don't care about setting edges. I don't care about the run game. I don't care about anything. Hit the quarterback. Hit him. Keep hitting him. Josh Sweat said, I had complete freedom to do whatever I want. I wound myself up and all. That's my kind of coach. 23rd hour, he walks right up to you in your stall. He looks you in the face and says, I don't give a shit about technique. I don't give a shit about the run. I don't give a shit about anything except hitting that quarterback. Keep hitting them. And they did. They never blitzed. He told all 4 front guys that. I don't give a shit about anything except hitting the quarterback. Keep hitting them. Told Jalen Hunt that, Nolan Smith that. You have no responsibility but hitting the quarterback. Okay? You have no responsibility but hitting that. Okay? Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. That's fantastic. It's great coaching. Looky here, man. Sweat shows violence. Yes. Okay? Absolutely. It's great coaching. How he's being patient. He's just being patient. Fantastic coaching. And they got the best D cord. I think he's better than Jim Schwartz. And I think he's as good as Jim Johnson. He may be as good as, I'm not going to say that he's as good as Buddy Ryan. Okay? I am not going to say that he's as good as Buddy Ryan. But he's a heck of a football coach. And make no mistake about it, that guy knows what he's doing. Okay? Hit the like button, guys. All right. So you're going to give him the patience, right? You're giving him the patience. Sills, give Xander shit for not getting the bricks. What bricks? What are you talking about? Bud Carson was a good GM as well. Hey, man, these moves that they're making this week, so what? When you're the champ, you don't have to make a ton of moves. Good things don't make giant moves. They player invest. Howie Roseman has, or when I say reboot to you, why did you take that as a negative? So reboot means 12 wins instead of 14? Boy, you're spoiled. Good thing. That's a good thing. Can you still win a Super Bowl winning 12 games? Yeah. You guys assumed that I was talking shit on the Eagles when I said a reboot on defense. So sensitive. Sills, I believe Stout and Vic are the perfect coaches for the reclamation projects. Jackson, Green, Uche. Looking at New England, New York, and Houston, it's safe to bet that these 3 kids need to be coached. I wouldn't agree with that in Houston. I think Houston has good coaching with D'Amico Ryans, and I think Nick Caserio is ahead. Remember something here, Bob. You're talking now about a different organization in Houston with a guy who has 6 Super Bowl rings and Nick Caserio. As much as you really like Howie Roseman as a player development guy and as a talent evaluator, the Houston Texans are second to none. They land on guys. Remember, that kid, Kenyon Green, he wasn't there when he got there. Or he wasn't. Nick Caserio wasn't in the building. Nick Caserio wasn't in the building. I mean, that guy's got 6 rings as a talent evaluator. There's not a general manager in the sport right now with more. He helped Belichick in New England. There's a reason that the talent has fallen off the map in New England. Why? Casario's down in Houston. I like the idea of running backs like the Lions. Great scheme for the running game. Absolutely. Kimbo. Well, they got up there with Montgomery and Gibbs. That's exactly what the Eagles are looking at. By the way, taking snaps away from Saquon Barkley, what you're doing is taking snaps away from Barkley, not production. Okay, not production. The number one number for Saquon Barkley this year. Hey, guys, the number one number is not 20, it's 2005. The number one number was the 6 yards plus per carry. That was damaging to other defenses. Every time that guy touched the football, that guy was almost at 7 yards a clip. I mean, this guy had like tight end numbers. And he was doing it out of the backfield. What were his numbers? Okay, what were his numbers? Kyle, he may have drafted the kid Kenyon Green. He may have. Because he's been there since 21. I think Green may have got there a year before. Kyle, check that for me, will you? If Kenyon Green got there prior to 21, that may have been their first year down there. And they had to go with the former projections because I can't remember when Casario got there. I thought he got there. I thought that guy Kenyon Green was drafted in 22. Okay, that's a draft pick by him. Then that's a miss by him. That's a miss. But he picked up a better player and actually won that trade, as far as I'm concerned, with Gardner Johnson. They got a better player. They moved on from a worse and a bust and got Gardner Johnson, who's had 12 interceptions in 2 years in Philly and been to 3 conference championship games in a row. Houston Texans got the better of that deal. Gardner Johnson's a better player. You want a fit for him? Sure, go ahead. Houston got better. I don't know in Philly about Kenyon Green. I did not think anything of him. Okay? So we'll see. Again, another question mark. I don't have a question mark about Gardner Johnson. I know he can play. I know he's an asshole. I know he's a ball hawk. I know he creates plays, brings an attitude. Hey, by the way, that defense that pushed around Kansas City in the playoffs, now added Gardner Johnson, they got better. Hey, Gardner Johnson's only 27. They got better. And he brings that championship attitude. By the way, do me a favor, Eagle fans. Don't dismiss CJ's ability. You only damage yourselves when you say that on the impact he brought to your team. You sound stupid. Since the last time we got a cast-off from the Texans, it was Brandon Brooks. Good player, really good player. Okay? Really good player. By the way, see this asshole here? They get rid of Deshaun Watson. We're in purgatory. Created draft picks and have made themselves, since Casario's got there, a playoff team and rebuilding. Loser Bob or Rob has no idea what he's talking about. Okay? Loser Rob knows what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's talking about. Houston got better with better draft picks, Rookies of the year on both sides of the football. Do you have anybody on your football team better than Anderson as a pass rusher? Do you? Do you have anybody on your team better than that kid you got from Alabama if you're a Texan fan? No. You got nowhere near it. Nowhere near that player. Rich, thank you very much, brother. Appreciate it. They're building up from purgatory. Okay? Keeping that faith there going with that AJ to New England. I think that's wishful thinking, dog. Okay? I do. Eagles are sending Green to Stoughton University. He'll graduate with honors. Like Andre Dillard? All right. I'll tell you what, I really don't see a shitty O-lineman since I've been covering your football team. I haven't really seen a shitty O-lineman. Okay? I haven't. And depending on their role, watch this. Fred Johnson's a heck of a ball player on my team. He's a swing tackle. Tyler Steen, I'm not sold on. He's probably the lesser of all of them. I like Trevor Keegan. I like what they did with Cam Jurgens a year previous. He played guard, went over to center. Now he's a Pro Bowl center. I really haven't seen, for the roles that they were asked to have, I really haven't seen bad football in that old line. You heard Stink talk about it yesterday. How do you feel about the Eagle defense going into the season versus how you felt about them going into last year? That's a great question, Jeremiah. That's a great question. Get this. Hey, Rob, different position there, dickhead. Holy Maron. Read a book, Junior. By the way, sit back with your dunce cap on, kid. Let me think here. That's a great question. It's a fair question. And just for the time, I'm not going to say either way that I felt lesser than I felt now. So I'm going to be honest, Jeremiah. Probably the same question marks. But you ended up with the result. It's a great question. Anderson, a top 3 pick. Eagles don't pick that high. Okay? So let me ask you this. Kobe Turner was taken in the 3rd round. Who's a better tackle? Kobe Turner or Jordan Davis? Kobe Turner. He was a 3rd round pick. Who was a better ball player? Milton Williams or Jordan Davis? Milton Williams was the 3rd round pick. Jordan Davis is 13th pick. What's your point? Big Sills, I might have missed it earlier in the show, but what do you think about Dylan, the kid, the running back? Neck injury last year, concerning. Yeah, I have one of those. Those are serious things because they also have something to do with concussions. Do you understand why he missed that year and why they kept him out? Okay, you know why they kept him out? Because that becomes an issue where you're talking about constant concussions. When you have stingers like that and you have pinched nerves like that in your neck, that's why it was so delicate with Peyton Manning. It's because that becomes concussion and it leads to more concussions, which means that's what, hey, dude, you don't get held out for stingers. You get held out for stingers in your neck. And if they're around your neck and your spinal cord, they're going to hold you out because that could be severe neurological damage. It's a neurological thing. You got to be concerned with. It's not a stinger. People get stingers all the time. Okay? They get stingers all the time. But when you get them around your spinal cord and in the base of your neck, I got one. Ironhead Hayward gave me one. I can't sleep at night. Last night I must have turned 700 times. They never go away. And when they're severe like that, they will be with you for the rest of your life. He could be going along, having a good year. One day in practice, he's out for 3 weeks. That's why the Packers moved off him. He's a good ball player. That shit, right, never goes away. And it will pop up when you least expect it. You could do something in the weight room. Pick up a dumbbell. That thing could get triggered. You're out. That's the problem that you have with stingers like that at the base of your neck. And that's why, again, the Packers, I guarantee you, the Green Bay Packers did not want to let that guy roll out of the building. Okay? They didn't. I mean, 150 carries, 700 yards in a reserve role, plus he grabbed you 20, 30 catches. That's a really good football player. That's kind of what they have in Detroit with the Montgomery and Gibbs. He's that kind of player. He could be a great goal line off guy. But that stinger is going to preclude him from being part of a game plan each and every single week, depending on what that is and how severe that is. When you're missing a year over it, they're worried about having a neurological issue. It's just not going, well, hey, I got a stinger, and guess what? I'll be out of... Dude, seriously, you don't know how many times I had to go for CAT scans. I mean, it feels, when you have it happen to you, it feels like you broke your arm. You can't lift your arm. There's a clip of me against Pitt. I run off the field. I thought I broke my arm. I mean, I posted it. I tackled Ironhead behind the line of scrimmage. He's 300 pounds. He was running back for Pitt back in the day. You guys may have heard of him. By the way, his son plays in Pittsburgh. I tackled him for a loss. I jumped up. I thought I broke my arm. Ran off the sidelines, started coming back. I realized what it was. Took a couple naprosins. And me, I just said, frick it, I'm gonna play through it, and I did. That shit is hurtful, man. It never goes away. And you could trigger it at any moment. Okay? Anytime that happens. So, Dylan not ready to hang it up. He's got to know the risk, and he's risking it. Yeah, that's where he's at. Now, and that's right. I did that at the university. I did that at Miami when we played Pitt, up at Pittsburgh. That stuff does not go away, and so that's what he's fighting through. He's a really good football player. That's why. Let me say this to you: if he didn't have that issue in his neck, he's a big money guy. He's a big money dude. Okay? He is. I mean, he's a good football player. He played, I thought, really good football when he was with the Packers. Of all the signs, that's my favorite one that you did externally. Hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. So, hey, listen. Giving Howie the benefit because he asked you for his patience? Yeah. It's a retool. That doesn't mean it's a rebuild. It doesn't mean that. Okay? what's his name? Cosmo's asking about Becton. I'll make the comment to you about Becton. I don't think, once again, I don't think it's a major priority for them. I think they'd love to have him back, but I think they got a number for him. I don't believe they're going to go north of $9 million. You got teams out there offering him 12. And he's probably fighting it right now, wanting to play in Philly. Why wouldn't you? Hey, and for the record, I'll make this comment to you about Becton. I think he's a very immature player. I think that guy needs to have a coach like a Jeff Stoutland that's in his ass. Do you hear what Stink said? Hey, he told one kid, you're not a tackle. You don't have good enough feet. Move inside. Guy turned out to be a 4-time Pro Bowler. That's what's happened here. If I were him, I would be. Stoutland turned him into what he needed to be, a guard. Okay, turned him into a guard. And turned him into a guard that helped the running back get 2,000 plus rushing yards. That's what he turned him into. Okay, I mean, he's good. He had a great year last year. Oh, one more time. The 2024 football team is gone. How you doing? It's gone. You know that victory parade you guys were on? You guys waving at Gardner Johnson, who's now in Houston. You saw Josh Sweat up there with the big trophy in his hand. That guy's gone. You all saw Milton waving to the fans. Thank you. I love you, Philly. That guy's gone. You saw Slay chirping. That guy's gone. But he's not being told by the owner to get off the air. That guy's gone. Different ball team, baby. You bet. Hey, you can wear the king's robe, but if you ain't the king, you're still wearing the king's robe. That's all you're doing. Once again, reboot doesn't mean negative, dude. In Dallas, it means negative. You know what reboot means in Dallas? The continuing bullshit that goes on in that city. You know what reboot means in Philly? Oh, we don't win 14. We win 12. We're still in it? Okay. That's what it means. There's a different look. I know. Stop crying, kids. It's all right. You know? Holy shit. Some of you, hey, but you give him the benefit. He asked for it. He should that. I've given it to him. Big Sills is given Howie and Associates. I'm giving Howie Roseman the benefit. Emilio Acho. Guy's got great speed, Sills. You know, he's 24 years old. He's got great upside. I don't really give a fuck about the guy. At the end of the day, how he's going to build this thing the right way, and he is. All right. The man, the MC, for the best victory parade that has continued since early February. He is the man who's the co-host of Birds 365. My boy, Z. Xander Krause. Hey, by the way, real quick before you get going, Junior, all the breaking stuff that you did, I thought it was really great. Well done. And it really was, man. I mean, kept everybody up to date. I didn't get a breaking story, though, or a breaking show on the long snapper, but hey.
It's coming tonight, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. tonight, we'll be live again. So for those who do watch our football 24/7 recap, speaking of it, appreciate it, so. But yeah, we'll be live again 6 p.m. tonight just to recap the final day, because they also just signed Avery Williams. You know what that means, Sills?
Please tell me.
All right. It means a couple of things. It means Britton Covey, goodbye. It means Cooper DeJean no longer has to return punts. And we got ourselves a kick returner and a punt returner in Avery Williams, baby. Woo! How's that for a reboot?
Avery Williams. Hunter or Harrison, what is his name? Buckner?
Harrison Bryant.
Harrison Bryant. Let me get really to the real crux here. The whole thing is, look, man, the guy asked for patience. He's earned it. Give it to him. I mean, dude, I don't care. I told you I'm a result guy, not a process guy. I was listening to radio shows all over Philly and us too. I think John and you have a better feeling than anybody in your city right now when it comes to it, because what did John say how he was shopping at right now? Like a Kia?
Temu.
Okay. Well, he's looking at the roster, man. He's got to fill a 91-man roster right now.
Yeah, there's no reason to overreact, but look at that. I can't find a single highlight of Avery Williams. You got to be joking. What are you talking about? Eagle Nest. This move confirms that we will be talking about another Super Bowl next February. All right, Eagle Nest? No, we're just having some fun, but it does mean for sure that Britton Covey's gone.
How about this, though, man? Somebody has to really – I think his name was Jeremiah. Sills, did you have the same concerns that you have now about the defense that you did a year ago at this time? Yeah. Last year resulted in a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't mean you're gonna overcome the odds like that every single year, but
no, but it's a fair question to go, wait a minute.
We have the core. Like, we have enough. This is a product. Look, this offseason is a little bit of a product of being so successful in the draft. Most teams draft players and they assume that more than half of them will walk out their door in 4 years and they won't really give a shit about it, or less in many cases. The Eagles have drafted so many good guys that you have a third rounder in Milton Williams making $26 million. He's getting paid bigger contract in New England than Tom Brady ever got. This guy's the highest paid New England Patriot of all time. I like Milton Williams. Highest paid player in France? I don't know about that. So, look, they've drafted really well. Guys have played super good, and, you got to let some of them walk. They're going to identify. If you don't have all-pro potential or you don't have foundation potential for our football team, you're probably walking out the door. That's what happened with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I was thinking about the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Dude, I think they were thinking, we did it. Like, we brought him back to win, and we won. The job's done, and we don't really need him anymore. He's not a foundational piece. He's not a guy we're building with, and move on. Like, I'm wondering if that's how they saw that.
A 27-year-old kid who had 12 picks for you in 2 years he was there is
not
a foundation piece?
I think it was more about the off the field with him.
I do too.
Yeah.
But look at this here. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Kenyon Green. I do like the A.J. Dillon. I tried to explain to people the injury is more significant than you think. Joshua Ocho Acho.
When you gets 11 sacks next year, I'm going to give you literal hell on your show.
Well, he better. He had 4 in 41 games. Harrison Bryant. Corey Jackson. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be shocked if that guy turns into your swing guy.
Yeah, or he could even be your cornerback too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got upside. I mean, he's
older.
older.
I just Googled it too. I got highlight reels for Avery Johnson, but I don't have any highlights for Avery Williams. I mean, Avery Williams.
I mean, you're going to give a shit about signing a freaking punt returner?
No, I don't care.
I don't care either, really.
No, I don't care.
How about Charlie Hewlett?
Who?
The long snapper.
No, that's significant.
Well, I had some intel.
That's an important role.
I had some intel on this move before, and I didn't even talk to John about it. John didn't have this intel because I got a relationship that I was talking to, a guy that I know, and he told me a little tidbit that Lovato was on the outs. He said there's no way they're bringing him back this year. And I have even little bigger tidbit for those who were talking shit on the Dallas Cowboys for signing that long snapper. Howie Roseman wanted that long snapper. Now, I forget what his name is. Well, let me find his name for everybody. All right.
It's actually an important role on a team.
It's a very important role.
And that's why those guys play 15 years and north of it. It's a big-time role, man.
Trent Sieg. That's who Howie wanted. Howie wanted him. He's 29, and he now is a Dallas Cowboy.
Dallas Cowboy. I'm sure he'll have a fun season there.
How funny was that spat that Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence were having?
DeMarcus Lawrence is right.
Yeah, 100%. Wait, can I say this? I feel like both can be right. I don't think Micah was right in what he called DeMarcus Lawrence, but Micah's allowed to think we're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to, but I'm saying great players, people who have belief, you don't falter on that, right? Somebody can tell you 100 times till they're blue in the face that you're not going to do something. For people who like to overcome that type of stuff, they don't give a shit about that. They want to overcome it. So Micah, from his perspective, is 4 or 5 years in the league. He's got pretty good numbers to this point. Maybe he believes I'm going to lead the Cowboys further. You don't have to hate on your way out the door. Meanwhile, DeMarcus Lawrence is like, I've been here for 10 years. We haven't won shit, and the owner makes the same mistakes every single year. So from his perspective, his career is done in Dallas, and he's like, man, this is trash. So he's right. But Micah can also be like, hey, I want to try and go and do it. Now, he's not going to do it, but we'll see.
Let me. It's funny you talking like this. Let me give everybody a little perspective and why people in Miami, when I went back 27 years later to go on the air, and you had me on the air having played with those Alabama-ish type teams, and they're going 7-5 every year. You know how difficult it was, Xander, for me to go like this? I'm sitting there going, this is horseshit. I said, these guys ain't going to win, Dick. Are you kidding me, man? These guys are 7-5 every year. We lost 5 games in 10 years.
Right.
You want me to start giving you, hey, there's supposed to be a standard here. What's the standard in Dallas? That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He didn't have a standard at Penn State. What in the world does Michael Parsons know about anything in his entire life about being a champion where he come? This is where I don't like him. He talks like a champion and has never been. Dude, Jalen Hurts can actually come from a better place talking about being a champion than that guy ever can.
Right.
There's nobody in Dallas that has any pedigree. Do you know why the Eagles are so good every year? Every single guy for the last 3 years has a championship type of pedigree where they've been in the title game, they've won it, they've lost it, they've been in it, they've been in the playoffs 4 straight years. Bro, there's a level when you're playing at that level up here so high where the rare air is, and these guys down here are talking championships. I freaking laugh at those people because those people, they root, like you and me love college ball, for the Sun Bowl. I'm rooting for the Super Bowl.
Right.
How would Michael Parsons know what it's like to be a champion? He's never experienced it.
No, he never has.
That's my problem with 2 dudes who don't know what being a champion, Lawrence and him, are talking about. I was watching this going, here's 2 guys who had overinflated egos on an over-amped up football team on an overrated football organization. What do they know about anything?
Yeah,
you look at
sure.
Philly's
Do you
got
think
2
that's
guys.
underrated? Do you think that's an underrated thing about most of the Eagles draft picks? If you look at a lot of the draft picks, obviously all the Georgia boys championship pedigree, Devontae Smith championship pedigree, Jalen Hurts championship pedigree. I feel like they went to a lot of that in the college. And I do think what you just said is a great explanation of why that matters. I know the NFL is different, but having that experience still matters, man.
How about, now you expand this. Well, let's take a look at Jalen Carter's career. So in the last 5-6 years, look at Jalen Carter. He's won 2 national titles, a Super Bowl, and he's been to the NFC Championship game twice. Does that guy even know what it's like to be a loser? When you look at that, and then you get guys coming in from other programs. And you get guys coming in, you're like, damn, it's an aura of winning. These guys have known only winning every place. Look at tell you this too about Hurts. Hurts played at Oklahoma and Alabama. Hoss, it ain't that easy to get a scholarship.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Okay, we're not talking about playing at Northern Illinois. You know what I mean?
No doubt about it, man.
So I do think there's something about that. And then get this, Xander, for me, here I'm a rookie. I walk into Philly and I start practicing against Cam Jurgens, or I start practicing against Landon Dickerson, and I start practicing against Jordan Mailata. Here comes Saquon Barkley running through the lineup. There's Jalen Hurts running a reverse on me. I didn't get deep as the ball. He showed me where I need to be. Let me tell you something. When you play against great players all the time in practice and you're scrimmaging and you're just running drills against them, the things you play, the things you pick up, constantly playing against great players, what made us so great was that I played against Michael Irvin every day in practice. I played against Vinny Testaverde every day in practice. I mean, I played against top 3. Alonzo, who was the 3rd pick in the draft. I played against really good players every day. Shit, the game's on Saturday. I didn't play against players like that. And these players are practicing like that. You can't tell me Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean didn't expedite their importance on the roster and their accelerated importance on their play on the field because they weren't going against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It is without a doubt helped them elevate and expedite their importance on the roster, and that's why Vic felt comfortable. How many times do you think Cooper DeJean is going to – so Cooper DeJean is running scrimmages against Saquon, and there's Saquon in there, and he's hitting Saquon. Well, here comes Derrick Henry in a game. Well, that ain't that different. You know, that ain't that different, dude.
All right. It's true. No, you're right. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you.
What do you make of the Moose?
Timo, clearance rack, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, the Dollar Tree, whatever you want to call it, wherever you can go to get your cheapest items, which many of us use to this day. All right. We're all familiar with finding cheap shit because we all need to go cheaper in life, right? I mean, shit, money's finite, but that's what the Eagles are doing, man. That's what the Eagles are doing.
Do you like my word reboot?
What's that?
You like my word reboot and how I explained it?
Oh, yeah, I got no issue with it at all. I think it makes sense. I mean, look, you're right. The 2024 team is gone forever. I like how you threw that word in there, by the way.
Ever.
They're gone forever.
But Xander, so it's not a 14 win, it's 12. You're still in it. What are we doing here? I mean,
yeah, no, I'm with you. I agree. I mean, I think it's good. I mean, they just added another signing as well. Patrick Johnson, a former Eagle. You remember him? Remember they released him at the roster cuts last year, and then the Giants picked him up, and we said that might be a bad move because we needed depth and we needed edge depth later in the year. But so we got him back. Patrick Johnson.
Here, let me add him now. Patrick Johnson, Avery Williams, and Patrick Johnson.
Look, Joseph's like, Xander, I shop at Temu. Hey, there's no shame in shopping at Temu.
No,
I'm just saying, when you go to Temu, Joseph, you don't come home and say, hey, I bought a luxury item, do you? Hey, I got something that's going to change our life forever. You don't get that. Maybe you get some trinkets. You get a couple things that are useful for a little bit. You might get some things, but, you don't go there for the big bang.
Hey, what are you making of this Becton stuff here, man? I think they want him, but I don't think they're going to go nutty over this guy. I just don't. I don't think they're going nuts over him, man.
They're going to go nutty for him. Nobody's going nutty for him. It's Friday.
Well, then why hasn't he signed?
Because nobody wants him. His price is going down every day. Eagles might get him back 1 year, $6.5 million.
No way.
Bro, who's paying him?
Bears.
No, they're not. They've already added 3 offensive linemen.
I bet Cincinnati could take him. Washington could take him.
Cincinnati doesn't even shop in the Temu aisle. Temu's way above their pay.
I wrote this down about a couple teams that I've seen in free agency. Listen to this. This is what I wrote about some teams here. Here, Chicago. I mean, it's time for Chicago to win. You've made all these moves the last 2 years. It's time for them to win. When I look at the Bengals, management will once again stop them from making the playoffs. I just don't see. I mean, you got Joe Burrow. You signed Joe Burrow, and you did nothing, and you're doing nothing with it. What's the point of signing him? To bullshit the fans? What have you done on defense? What have you done on defense? And you're shopping Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, well, they're the Bengals. They're not rich. That owner's is he even a billionaire? He's the only one that's not a billionaire.
Brown,
right?
Nobody who has a zipper for a wallet or a zipper wallet is a millionaire. And I think that guy,
he got millions.
Like I said, dude, that guy has parking meters in the player's lot. That's how
legitimately, yeah, legitimately.
Okay. What about Goddard, man? What are you making of this thing with him?
They should bring him back. What are we doing here? We're going to get worse on offense this year? Like, if they lose Goddard or if they let Goddard go, I don't know. I'm going to wonder if they're not even trying to repeat next year. I don't like we're trying to. I'm not saying not trying to repeat, but I mean like they're more focused on reorganizing the roster to have more sustained success in the next 3-year period than trying to go for it again in 25. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, he's got a year left. He's not going to play on it because there's not much guaranteed money. I think it's like $1 million or something. But if you let him walk, I mean, what are you signaling? You're putting Grant Calcaterra and Harrison Bryant? I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Does that sound like a Super Bowl contending team to you? Harrison Bryant?
Oh, so what are you saying? You think the Skins have closed the gap?
No. In fact, I think the Skins made every wrong move this year.
Really?
I don't think they've made one good move.
You don't think the Tunsil move getting a better old lineman?
Tunsil is the one move I like. But remember, he is, how old is he? 30?
Yeah. But
so, like, you're not getting – and then the other thing I hate is you got Javon Kinlaw. You paid him all that money. You paid a bunch of dudes a bunch of money, and you're going to – you're messing – you're not building foundationally correct. You're building through free agency. That's not the way to do it. They got to draft better players, and they're not focused as much on that. I look at what the Commanders did, and I'm like, we put up 55 on them in the playoffs. What did they do to change that?
Yeah, but this is the first year the Eagles are starting to build through the draft. They're 17 and 22 team. We're not. Okay, 22? This is the first time that 22 team was built through the draft.
We just won the Super Bowl through the draft, though.
Really? I think the important players on your football team, the best player on the field was Sweat. Bro, he finished to the MVP to Hurts by 3 votes on winning the MVP.
One good game. Josh Sweat is not that good.
You think 40 sacks in 5 years is bad?
It's not bad, but it's not his. You act like he's Myles Garrett. Dude, that's 8 sacks a year.
Who else on your football team do you have right now that's the equivalent of Josh Sweat?
Nolan is better.
Oh, my God. All right. I heard Nolan is – I heard he's in
Nolan is going to be better than Josh Sweat. I will
he's
make
going
that.
To be. So
you gave a bold take.
We're talking potential again. There we are. All right.
No, I'm not talking potential. He's going to be a better player.
He wasn't last year.
He was in the second half of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
He was not a better ball player.
He had 5 sacks in the playoffs.
That guy was not better than Josh Sweat last year.
He had 5 sacks in the playoffs.
Are you really telling me today, March 14th, that you think
I'm sorry, but we all talk Sweat up.
Nolan Smith is a better player than Josh Sweat?
Dude, Josh Sweat's not that good. He's a good player.
I didn't ask you that. You're telling me you think Nolan Smith is a better player than Josh Sweat?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. You think Moro Jomo is a better player than Milton Williams?
I do not.
Okay. Do you think Keely Ringo is better than a 35-year-old Darius Slay?
Maybe a combination of him and Adoree could be close. Wait, but why? How are you telling me that we didn't win the Super Bowl this year through the draft? What was the better unit, defense or offense? The whole defense was drafted. The entire thing.
Your superstar defender was a free agent.
Who? Vaughn? Yeah, well, that's one guy. And
Your
by the way,
top
you
turnover
were
guy,
calling him a trash can
your
in
top
August.
turnover guy was the free agent, Gardner Johnson. Your top corner was a trade. That's core. Q was good. Cooper was
What
great.
about Quinion, Coop, Nolan, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Ajomo, Milton Williams,
Again,
Kobe Dean?
Dean, I didn't see him in the playoffs. I missed him.
Oh, he played good all year.
I thought we were talking about Super Bowls here. I mean, the playoffs here. Yeah, because I didn't see him. I must have missed him. Oh, that's right. He was out in Japan with Hassan Reddick.
You know what? Let's see. If Nolan Smith stinks and you think Josh Sweat is there, we'll say, we have all year. Okay. We'll have the 2020. Let's see what Mr. Sweat does with the shitty Arizona Cardinals. And let's see what Nolan Smith does in Philly.
Right. Let's see if he could get through a regular season without ending up on IR like his
You want a bold take? Nolan Smith will have more sacks than Josh Sweat this year. Bank it. Take it to the bank, deposit it, cash it, and buy yourself a nice.
How much do you think that Nolan Smith benefited from Josh Sweat playing and also Zach Bond playing and Jalen Carter playing? Wait,
dude, why are you so high on Josh?
Wait a minute. You keep telling me that Milton Williams and Josh Sweat benefited. How much did those edge rushers benefit by having that front four that didn't blitz this season?
Everybody benefited from everybody. I truly believe that. The linebackers benefited from the defensive line. The defensive line got made looked a lot better because Zach Bond was filling every hole. The secondary was good because your defensive line was getting pressure. It was a perfect complementary unit last year on defense. I really don't think it was the reason they got pressure was because of Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat had a good Super Bowl, but do we really think he's the reason they got pressure? Or is it because they couldn't handle Jalen Carter on the inside? They couldn't handle Nolan Smith coming off the other edge. Patrick Mahomes was scrambling like I've never seen him scramble before. And Josh Sweat was the guy who got the sacks.
So it was all Carter and those other guys who didn't blitz. It was all Carter and not them other guys.
I didn't say it was only Carter.
I know that because
I'm saying it wasn't all Sweat.
It was 4 dudes that won that Super Bowl.
And 2 of them are gone.
2 of them are gone. Hey.
All right, we'll see.
No. But see, here it is here. That's the question. Now, Jeremiah had the best quote today or question today. Sills, March 14th. How'd you feel about the team March 14th, a year later? You're right. I felt the same. And the results led to a Super Bowl. I just think, again, last year, though, you did have Milton. Now, let's wind it back. Did we think Milton was going to have the type of year that Milton had? Did we think that, or were we projecting that too? I think we were projecting it.
We were majorly projecting it. I mean, let's be real. We all thought he was solid.
Aren't we all thinking the same thing about, is Josh Sweat going to bounce back?
We were not sure if Milton Williams was going to be that good last year. I mean,
no way.
He did show some flashes in 23, but he didn't, not like this.
No, didn't we say that, shit, the Eagles made, what's his name, take a pay cut because they didn't like the season he had? Weren't we all saying this about, hey, I'm trying to look at both sides here. Aren't we doing this now, going also with Sweat? Did we really think Sweat was going to put the year he put in? I didn't. I thought he was going to have a bounce back season, but I didn't think he was going to.
Seriously,
I didn't think he was going to go.
Josh Sweat's season was that good. I don't.
Breaking news. Another tight end has been signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Kylan Granson.
Oh boy.
Has been signed. Oh boy. I think he played for the Colts. Have signed former Colts tight end Kylan Granson, a 26-year-old free agent.
Who?
Damn,
the Cowboys just signed Dante Fowler. I did see that.
Wow, that's a nice sign for them. He had a good year last year with the Jags or with the Washington. That was a good sign for them. Yeah. On the other side of Micah, dude, tell me this.
Wait, who's this tight end we got now?
Hey, I'm trying to get some research on him right now. I don't believe he overlapped Sirianni being there and Kevin Patullo. And Jason Michael. I don't believe he did. Okay. He's 26-year-old.
Tyler Granson. I like him. I like him. Fourth round pick in 21, 4 years with the Colts, 86 catches, 958 yards, and 1 tutty, and he can block, baby. Dallas Goedert, I'll catch you on the flip. We got Granson now, Sells. We don't need Dallas Goedert.
Do you agree? This is the end of God. He ain't. I mean, they've signed how many tight ends now? 3?
Yeah, no, two.
2 tight ends?
Harrison Bryant and Kyler Granson.
Hey, and you're probably going to draft one. The kid from Bowling Green or maybe the kid from Miami.
I'm not drafting the guy from Bowling Green. He can't block for shit. I don't want that guy.
These other guys can block.
I like the other dude. I like Colston Loveland, but he's probably going to go earlier.
The kid from Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, look at all these. Hey, thank God. Hey, Lord, they won the Super Bowl.
Let me text John.
He's good. Big Sills has to stay on his rails because you won the Super Bowls, Xander, because these are epic picks. Emilio Acho.
You keep saying that. It sounds like you're saying Emmanuel Acho.
I don't know what his name is. Emilio Acho. What? Joshua Tree Uche.
I like Uche. He's got some speed.
4 sacks in 41 games.
Dude, you can't just remove games.
I'm talking about the last 41 games.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is true.
No, it's not.
41
22,
games.
he had 11 and a half sacks.
Wait a minute.
That's fake news.
Hey, I'm going to help him out here, okay?
Fake news.
The last 41 games, he's had 4 sacks. Here you go. Emilio Acho. Here you go. Last year, this guy had no sacks with Kansas City.
That was 6 games.
6 games. Then he played 24. He had New England. He had 2. Then he had.
You can't get by me. I've already looked at his stats. I'm
Let's
doing
see here.
post on all these guys. You ain't getting by me, Sills.
Okay, watch this. 2022, he played 15 games.
11 and a half sacks.
Wait. 2023, that's where I started from. He played 15
Which could never
games.
be 40 games because there's not 20 games.
Watch this. 2024, he played 13 games. That's 28. Then he played 7. That's 36. And then a 6. That's 41. He's had 2, 4, 5. It's
Miami math, everybody.
Watch this. 7 sacks. 7 sacks in how many games? Let's see. 15, 13. That's 28. Then 7, 36, and then 42 games. He's had 7 sacks.
So you can't be serious.
I'm looking at it. From 2023, played 15 games, had 3 sacks.
Let's pull up his stats for all the
24. He played 13 games and had 2 sacks. And then in 20, let's see here, 2-4. Holy criminy. This gets even worse. 41 games, he had 7 sacks. Hey, Don.
Dude, what are you talking about, Sills? He had 11 and a half sacks in 22, dude.
23, 15 games, 3 sacks. 24, 2 sacks. 24, he played, that's another 7 he played. That's 2 sacks.
Sills, where are you? We have like 25 game NFL seasons now. What are we talking about?
I'm looking at this here. He played 13 games for New England. Or for 2 teams. I'm sorry, for New England.
Yes, and Kansas City.
Okay, so
4.5 sacks in 2 years.
28
5
games.
sacks in 2 years.
It's 28 games, not 41. It's 28. My bad. It's 28. 4 and 28.
And then the games before that, he had 11 and a half and 15.
Why'd they move off him? A 2nd round pick.
I don't know. They didn't like him.
I tell you this, for $1 million, I don't really care.
That's my whole point. It's my whole point. He's a million beans. He's sitting back with darts in his hand. Howie's got a bunch of names up on the wall. He sits back with a dart in his hand and throws it at one. Whatever the dart lands on, he signs the guy to $1 million contract. It's all good.
He's wait. Well, we do agree that his big sign last year was an enormous whiff.
Yes, Huffle Schnufflegus. He's the awful, and we still won the Super Bowl.
And his second one was Devin White, correct?
Yeah, but he was like $3 million.
I'm talking his top on defense. I mean, let's be candid here. Oren Burks and Zach Bond, those guys. Well, wait, Zach Bond and Devin White kind of signed for the same amount, 3.5, didn't they? Because if I'm not mistaken, I think then isn't that what he made last year? He made 3.5, right? He signed 3.5 last year. All right.
No. Who?
Do you think there is a big move to come?
No. What kind of big move? Signing? Trading?
A trade.
It depends. It depends. I don't think a big money trade's coming because they're clearly showing you they're not playing in the big money market this year. They're out of that. That's why they got their extensions done. Huh?
Reboot.
I think the reboot is going to be good. This team needs the reboot. Don't get caught up like Dallas and these other teams that fall in love. Move on from some of these dudes, man. Move on from them. Get younger, get cheaper, get hungrier, get guys in the room that have some chip on their shoulder. The new long snapper. I love it. Lovato, you got comfortable. Wait a second.
Lovato got comfortable?
Lovato had 1 penalty sills in like 5 years. He had 2 in the Super Bowl.
Wow. Okay.
Get out. Done. 2 penalties in the Super Bowl. You're lucky it was a blowout. Yeah. See you, Lovato.
How about this here, Xander? Do you not agree that Howie this year, again, he's looking at rebooting the cap. He's rebooting the roster, but they just believe that they have to do the things that New England did. And follow me when I say this. New England moved off of really great football players because they knew that they couldn't keep cap integrity and roster integrity by keeping even guys, Hall of Famers like Darrelle Revis. Do you know they moved off of Darrelle Revis and Richard Seymour, who were Hall of Famers that were still in their prime because they didn't want to pay them? They moved off those dudes and moved on to other players because they had to keep roster integrity. Listen, you may have to do a couple reboots, but they're playing the end game here, aren't they? Their down years are 11, 12 wins. You know what a down year in Dallas is? Not competing and 5 wins.
Yeah. Dallas stinks. How good is Dallas going to be this year? How many wins?
What did I say last year?
I hate Dallas too, but they are getting their quarterback back. You know what I mean? Like they played all year last year with Cooper fucking Rush. How many games were they supposed to win with that guy?
Didn't they win 7?
Did they? Is that what they won last year?
They win 7.
I stopped following the Dallas Cowboys.
I thought they were a 5-win football team because nobody on that team.
I like the Fowler deal for them, actually.
It's a good deal.
I don't hate that.
Washington, the Rams. Here, I wrote this down.
They were 7-10, correct.
Okay. Here, I wrote this down. Xander, tell me if you agree with this. Here's my top 5 rosters in the NFC on March 14th. Not teams. I wrote Detroit 1, Eagles 2, Rams 3, Washington 4, and Green Bay 5. Those are my raw. Now, again, this is incomplete, but they're bringing almost every. I'm going to have to do a little more research on Detroit because didn't they lose an O-lineman in there? Didn't Detroit lose like a top flight O-line?
Yeah, Kevin Zeitler, yeah. They lost him.
Dude, he was a Pro Bowler.
Really good.
So that hurts them. So I would imagine Detroit's going to go back into the O-line. But aren't those the best? Hey, how about this? Aren't these the best 5 rosters? Would you put Chicago in there? Detroit, Philly, Detroit, Rams.
It's hard to put Chicago. I like Chicago's moves, but I really do, because they made good moves this year. But they're the off-season sweethearts like every year, and they stink every year. Now, I do like Ben Johnson, and I do like the moves they made. So we'll see, but I'm having a hard time buying the Bears until I see it.
Here's something else with the Steelers in that DK Metcalf deal. You make it this here. Why make that trade if you don't have the quarterback situation?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
You trade for DK Metcalf?
Wait, dude,
you don't have
why the Slay deal for them?
Yeah, $10 million too, 110.
But I mean, if you feel like you're a team on the brink, Slay makes sense for a Lions or for a Commanders or an Eagles or a Bills or something like that. But the Steelers,
I don't get the Metcalf.
They're not ready to compete for a Super Bowl.
I mean, let's do this. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers, I don't believe has a lot left, but don't you go to Minnesota? And with that roster,
if you got Aaron Rodgers with a good offensive line and some weapons,
yeah,
I think he can still throw that ball, bro.
I mean, dude, they ran the shit out of the ball too with Aaron Jones, and he re-signed up there. You got a running game. He played with him too in Green Bay.
Right.
So you got that. You got Addison. You got Jefferson on the perimeter. You got a good tight end there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're Aaron Rodgers, why are you messing around with Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh, they're not even sure they're going to sign Najee Harris, right? He's a free agent out there.
Najee Harris signed with the Chargers.
He signed with with them. Why in the world are you signing DK Metcalf? I don't
know.
I don't see that. I mean, I get the Devontae Adams to Los Angeles because you're losing Kupp. If you're Cooper Kupp, where do you go? I'm going to ask Jason Cole at the bottom of the hour these questions. If you're Cooper Kupp and you're still thinking he says he believes that he has, do you go to Chicago?
I hate to say this.
Or go to Washington?
Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
Do you think Dallas is a bad option for him personally?
No, I don't.
CeeDee Lamb, who's going to line up in the slot, which maybe that doesn't work with Kupp because Kupp likes to line up all over the place too. So, but I don't know. I could see that as a fit. I saw them talking about that, but I don't know. We'll see where Kupp goes. I do think Kupp's kind of lost a step a little bit.
Well, how about this? Well, since he moves around a lot, could you see Kupp in San Francisco? Because Kyle likes to move guys around a lot.
I could see that. It depends what the deal is. That San Francisco is not in a good place.
No.
They are removing everything because they are just screwed in terms of what they did cap-wise and how they built their football team. They're not in a good spot right now. So they're going to be by the way, I think I used to be a Brock Purdy guy and I still kind of am. I think they should move off Brock Purdy. The roster's not built. If your roster was in a good spot, you extend Brock Purdy.
Can I tell you where Brock Purdy would be in saying that? Minnesota.
That's a good fit.
Man, Brock Purdy.
Remember I just said about Aaron Rodgers, though? Imagine him in Minnesota.
I know. I see him.
Jefferson, Addison, and they just added all those offensive linemen.
Tight end they have.
Yeah, I like that.
Aaron Jones played with him in Green Bay.
Him back for 2 years.
Yeah, kind of go up there. But boy, I'll tell you, I'd like to see Brock Purdy in Minnesota. Minnesota, I think, has got a Super Bowl roster. They just don't have a Super Bowl quarterback. J.J. McCarthy, where did you come up with that? That's the guy. I mean, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he turns out to be something. I didn't think of him. I didn't think shit of him when he was at Michigan. You know, I think the guy at Ole Miss this year is better than him. I mean, I don't know. He's a little better than the Bama kid, Jalen Milroe.
I don't like Milroe.
I don't either, but
I do think as much of a Milroe hater as I am because I just didn't like him when he was at Bama. I do think if he gets in the right program with the right coach, you can make him something because still the weird part about the modern NFL is, and I forget who was it. Which guest did you have on that explained this perfectly? With the speed of, actually, I think it was John Morgan. who talked about how dual threat quarterbacks have added a dynamic to the game where you can come in and be better quick because you're not in the mode of, I have to learn how to read a defense perfectly before I can make the right reads and make the right throws. You have an athletic ability that when a play breaks down, when something happens, you can create something out of nothing. We saw this with Jalen Hurts early. We saw it with Jaden Daniels early. We see it with all dual threat guys. And I do wonder if Jalen Milroe is athletic enough where a guy can get him in the right spot and have him succeed. But we'll see. There's no good quarterbacks.
We're going to do our supers here in a second, but keep an eye on Jalen Milroe going to Pittsburgh. He wanted Jalen Hurts. They coveted Jalen Hurts. They thought they were going to get him. The Eagles jumped up and got him in the second. You remember Jalen Hurts told many people he thought he was going to be a Steeler. Mike Tomlin was talking to him all the time about how they were going to take him, and then the Eagles ended up getting him. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that where you see Jalen Milroe working in Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh had there's exactly an organization who does so many things right, had no plan moving off of Ben Roethlisberger. They've had no plan. The Eagles had a plan, and they revamped. Look how fast the Eagles revamped their plan from Wentz to Hurts, and how fast you had a 9-8 year. Then, you still made the playoffs. Look at the Steelers at the quarterback position. And by the way, I don't give a shit if you have George Pickens or if you have DK Metcalf playing wideout. If you don't have a quarterback who can't throw a football through a barn door opening, there's no way you're going to win ball games. They were never in that game against. The only reason they were in that game a little bit against the Eagles was because they played outstanding defense. You've got to have that quarterback situation. When you not agree, the Eagles are one of probably 7 teams, maybe 6 teams that have no quarterback questions, and those are traditionally the best teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Always. No doubt about it. By the way, was the worst contract of free agency Justin Fields?
$30 million for 2 years. I mean, over 30 a year. I don't get it.
The guy's terrible.
He's terrible.
He's awful. He's unplayable.
Can I tell you, that sounds like a Madden thing or something that the owner did, because the owner likes that Madden game. I mean, how would you like to work in New York at that place? How about both New York? You know what, Xander, think of this. If you put the rosters together of the Giants and Jets, do you think you could beat the Eagles?
The Giants and the Jets? No. Who's the quarterback? Who's their starting left tackle?
You couldn't take
who's their starting left tackle?
The pizza guy.
Who's the receiver? Garrett Wilson?
No, Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is decent. Malik Neighbors.
I'm not as high on him as most of the NFL world.
Hey, how about this? Like I said, you could put a roster together, a 53-man roster of the Jets and Giants, and the Eagles would still beat you by 3 TDs. I mean, incredible. We have any supers here? We'll read them. Let's see what we got here.
Let's see what we got. Did the people bring the heat today? We'll see. Joseph Albino. Albino, I ripped you to shreds this morning on the show, but I appreciate you being here. I didn't realize you were a Cowboy fan. Cowboys signed Dante Fowler, Super Bowl bound. LOL, JK. Albino, you guys stink. You guys aren't fun anymore. Albino, I like it better when the Cowboys are a little better. Like, this isn't fun. Nobody likes picking on the guy who's down and out. A guy's laying on the ground with a broken leg. You don't kick him and have fun.
Here's Xander again with a really nice line, and he didn't hear it. The Cowboys aren't fun anymore. That's a great take. Hey, dude, you know what? You suck so bad, I've lost interest in ripping you.
I really did. Although I will rip Mark Holmes because I love Mark Holmes.
Yeah. But, dude, the Cowboys are so bad, that's a great tweet. The Cowboys are so bad, I've lost interest in ripping them.
I really did. Blaine Myers, Xander stole my thoughts. Roseman throwing darts. Yeah, there's games in the office right now. Anybody in the front office can come up, close their eyes, spin around a couple of times, and you chuck a dart at the wall. And wherever it lands, they're tossing out $1 million contract to the 250 plus free agents that are out there. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah,
Tossing darts, baby.
They're throwing darts at Emilio Acho.
Look, there's your Howie's like, am I aimed at the wall? Okay, fire. Boom.
Avery Williams, and who's the tight end they signed today?
I don't know his name. I got to figure it out here.
There
Kylan Granson.
you go, baby. Hey, he's got great upside. He can block.
Kylan Granson will lead us back.
Man.
Anthony Wilson, what's up, my guy?
I like this guy.
Smith played better than Sweat after first Rams game. Agreed. Agreed.
Oh, you're right. Nolan Smith is better than Josh Sweat.
He is. We'll see this year. When Josh Sweat is
that ain't a fact right now.
Huh?
That's not a fact right now.
It's a fact.
Nobody on the planet would say that. No.
It's a fact, Sileo.
You will
Nolan
that
Smith
into being
better than Josh Sweat.
Will that into
It's
being
a fact. He's better than Josh Sweat.
Josh Sweat right now is in a sling. We'll see.
No, you mean Nolan's in a sling.
He's like this. Nolan Smith is in a sling.
Josh Sweat is not as good as Nolan Smith. In fact, Jalen Hunt might overtake Josh Sweat this year.
Okay. There you go.
Josh Sweat is the ops. You understand?
I love the
Josh Sweat is no longer a Philadelphia Eagle. I don't give a shit about him. He is gone, done, and dusted. And I don't think he's better than our guys.
Nolan Smith is better than Sweat. All right.
He is.
Yeah. All right.
Josh Sweat is not the big, bad, scary edge rusher like you make him out to be.
Nolan Smith is not the greatest player you think he is.
He's better than Josh Sweat.
Really?
Exact Josh Sweat falls off a cliff every third game.
All right. Well, we'll see when this guy's got to play 20 games.
Every third game, Josh Sweat just disappears to the island of misfit toys and
we'll
nothing.
See well, one thing I know for sure, Josh Sweat wasn't a rotation guy.
He was all right. What would you rather have? A rotation guy
Nolan
wait, what would you rather have? A rotation guy that produces when he's on the field, or Josh Sweat who shows up for 40% of the snaps?
Nolan Smith was in a rotation with Jalen Hunt and Bryce Huff.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't at all.
Bryce Huff, he was active for the playoffs until they realized he blew out loud for deactivated him for the
Nolan
Super Bowl.
Smith had a consistent good playoffs from start to finish. Josh Sweat decided to show up when the Eagles flanked on the left side of the line because Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith were wreaking havoc, and Mahomes ran right into Sweat. Sweat's not that good. He's really not.
I know.
He's not that good. Milton Williams, I like a lot more than
Neither's
Sweat.
Nolan.
Nolan's good. He's better than Sweat.
No, he's not.
I didn't say he was elite. I said he's better than Sweat.
He's not.
He is.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see
All
if he
right,
has a better career.
We'll see.
Okay.
All right.
Absolutely.
Both Super Bowl champions, by the way.
I know. Hey, that means he's probably better than Myles Garrett too, right? Both.
No, I didn't say that. Yeah. Here's the funniest part. Josh Sweat decides to sign with another organization, and all of a sudden, Sileo is acting like he's the greatest player to ever wear Eagle green.
No, all I said, he's better than Nolan Smith.
Paul Barbarian says, Howie's doing what Andy did for years in Philly. Farm a bunch of players to find diamonds in the rough, build the depth, and trust your coaching. Correct.
They've pretty much done that for a lot of the 2000s on the defensive side of the ball, most notably. That's how they've done it.
He checks in. He says, if we make a splash signing or trade, who for? I don't see it.
I don't either, man. I think they're good. They're really leaning. Look at the bounty of picks they got the next 2 years in the draft. I think they're hanging in there, man.
I think here's what I think, Christopher. You want to talk big trade? If there is a trade and the Eagles really like a player, they could package some picks maybe and go up. Or a second round move up somewhere in there where I think they'll shake and bake with all their picks to get the players they like.
Agreed.
All right. I don't hate Sweat, Barb. He's just not, he's not perennial. All right.
Barb, I said the same. Well, Nolan Smith is clearly not perennial. Jesus criminy. Guy played 7 games and he's perennial.
Nolan Smith is better than Josh Sweat. Admit it.
I'm going to admit it. Okay, John McMullen.
They lost role players. Core is still intact. Agreed, Wilson.
A core, you lost 5 starters.
Yeah, we got back Jalen. Is Jalen Carter back? Is Nolan Smith back? Is Jordan Davis back? Is Nakobe Dean back? Is Zach Bond back? Reed Blankenship? Quinyon Mitchell? Cooper
your
DeJean,
starters.
are they back, Sills?
You lost half your starters on the number 1 defense in the league.
You lost the bottom 4.
Hey, that's see, he did today what I did yesterday. Who are the more important players? Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Slay. Touche, kid.
Oh my God.
Touche.
Oh man,
Oh,
bottom 4 guys. Jeff Bone, the Bonehead. We're signing back Patrick Johnson. I saw that. I just put up a tweet on it. Check it out. Sig Lord, need a Xander Kango sticker. I like that, Sig Lord. Maybe I'll get that made. Anthony
Nolan
Wilson
Smith.
says,
Put on it. Nolan Smith's better than Josh Sweat.
I will. I'm actually going to make that. We're going to make that a t-shirt maybe. Anthony Wilson says that none of them were top 10 players on this team. I don't know who you're talking about, Anthony. My bad. Here we go. Josh Salter. What's up, Josh? Xander, thanks for getting to me earlier. My bad. Was on break. Any chance Mills or Chuck Clark comes cheap? And rumors are Eagles are in on Aziz. You like it? I do like Aziz. Chuck Clark, nah. Mills? Jalen Mills? Nah. Come on, man. Turn the page. Jalen Mills? Is that who you're talking about? The Green Goblin? Guys, let's win in 2025, not 2018. What are we doing here?
What are we? I'm talking. I mean, it's like I'm talking about a 5-win team. Thank God you won the Super Bowl with these names. These guys are garbage cans.
Look at Rocksteady. He's been Rocksteady. You had too many of the Sileo-ized edibles.
Hey, Rocksteady, these names are garbage cans.
No. He says Nolan Smith is a nothing. He had 5 sacks in the fucking playoffs, dude. What are you talking about? He's a nothing.
That's not true. But these guys that they're signing are garbage cans. Come on.
Nolan Smith has the most sacks in a single postseason in Philadelphia history.
He's better than Reggie then.
Rocksteady says, get real. No, Rocksteady, you get real. Nerd, 4.5 sacks in the postseason. Woo! That's a stiff who shows up for 50% of the year every year.
$20 million a year, Steph.
Yeah, good. Enjoy.
Yeah, okay.
That's why he got a pay cut last year and accepted it.
Well,
he knew he was
made up for it. He made up for it this year.
Oh, no, he didn't. He made up for it in one game when everybody was watching, and he capitalized on it.
So you think he got paid for the Super Bowl, and that's it?
He got an extra $5 million for that Super Bowl.
Holy shit.
I'm right. You know I'm right.
How about the 40 sacks in 5 years is what he got paid for?
Dude, if that dude didn't have sacks in the Super Bowl.
In the last 3 years.
If that dude didn't have sacks in the Super Bowl, nobody's paying $20 million to an 8-sack guy.
Okay, get this, guys. He had, in the last 3 years, 11.5, 6.5, and 8.5. This guy had like 28 sacks in 3 years. And you're telling me that Nolan Smith is better than that?
Nolan Smith is better than Sweat.
All right. Hope he can play a full season, too. We'll see.
All right, we'll see. Pumper! We always need some pump. If we don't have pump, it's not a good show. He says, who the F are these randos we're signing? Howie might be washed. I guess it's a trend. Head to the Super Bowl and then complete teardown and reset. Yo, Pump, sit back, kick your feet up, enjoy the show, and we'll be talking to you in February next year when we're back.
Hey, Pump, man. Reboot. How you doing?
Pump told us all year that we could never win with Jalen. He sounded like you.
Reboot. Oh, no, they proved that. No, they didn't. Reboot. The number 1 defense, blowtorch this week.
Nolan Smith is better than Josh Sweat. I'm standing by that.
Sure, go ahead. You should.
Miguel, what's up, brother? Xander, who do you hate more, Milroe or Blake Sims? Oh, man. That's a good one. Blake Sims was before my time. Milroe was after my time. Didn't we win a natty with Blake Sims, though?
I don't think so.
I think we did, dude.
No way.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
No
we won with Jake
way.
Coker and AJ McCarron.
That may have been, Blake Sims may have been a Louisiana Monroe lost guy.
Blake Sims, did he win a natty? He didn't, did he?
No way. If they did, he benched him. And that one analyst won. Because remember that kid that was like, that played for Saban there, the first national championship? Who was the first one that won a national championship there at Alabama?
Dude, I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't it McCarron? Wasn't it AJ McCarron? I thought it was AJ. A.J. McCarron won the first national championship.
A.J. McCarron won, yes. A.J. McCarron won. I know Jake Coker won.
That's right, Jake Coker. It could have been him.
Remember Jake Coker?
I do.
Alabama really used to win with some of the worst quarterbacks in history.
But guess who the backs were then? I mean, you had to get Alvin Kamara couldn't find time.
Yeah, so 2014, he beat out Jake Coker for the job. And then, oh no, did he win or not? Why can I not find him? What's that?
Way. No way did he win.
All right, here we go. More supers. Mills! AJ to Patriots for 4th pick while his value is high. Mills, get out of here. It's a shit trade, and the Patriots wouldn't do it, and neither would the Eagles.
Yeah, no way. They're not. I don't believe it either. I just don't.
Right, here we go. Josh Salter again. Josh, thanks. At $2 million, all your depth you're getting, all you're getting is depth. You have any names? What about the names we've signed? We've signed like 5 dudes today.
Let me see where Cole
is. You need
is.
more than that? You need more names than that?
Where's Cole?
I sent him the link late. It's probably my fault, honestly.
It's all good.
I did just send it, though. Well, I sent it a little bit ago. Cody says, Xander, keep preaching. Don't drink Sills' Kool-Aid. Josh Sweat, not that good.
Reboot. 5 starters off your number 1 ranked defense. Come on, juniors. You took a blowtorch or a grenade to the number 1 defense, and now you're trying to tout up Nolan Smith is better than Josh Sweat.
He is better. He was more productive than the player in the postseason. Man. I think he's better. All right, I got to go.
Not like Kool-Aid Eagle, guys. The greatness of the greatest signs today. Who's your favorite sign, Xander?
I think it's a Dory.
Mine's Dylan.
I think it's a Dory Jackson. I'm hoping he has something left in the tank and contribute on the outside. We'll see that.
Bob Brown brought a great point up, though. Every one of those guys were evaluated with high picks from other organizations like first.
The other thing that's interesting is a lot of these guys that the Eagles have signed, they had in previous years, like they take them on top 30 visits. They were interested in Adoree Jackson in free agency 2 years ago. So whenever you hear the Eagles are interested in somebody, I always write the name down because they might come back later, you know?
Yeah, no, I got it. All right, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, everybody. Hit that like button. Hope you guys all have a great weekend.
You got it. You guys were great. Appreciate it. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit that like button. We had Mark Schlereth down with us yesterday. And every year, the one thing that the NFL does, you know what they love? They love mediocrity. They love to have and make it hard on championship football teams. That's why, Jerry Jones or Steven, who's come on the program numerous times, he told you, what's the number one thing that the salary cap does? It makes it so that no team is going to try to have a dynasty. The NFL does not like dynasties. That's why, since the salary cap era, what have there been? 4 teams that have won back-to-back championships since 94 when the cap was first really instituted? I mean, it's just impossible. You get the lower picks, they rig it. The cap's at 281, and anytime you pay for really good players, you build your roster up, you got to tear it down. That's what the league is, and that's kind of where the Eagles are now. But if there's one guy who can do the job, 8 years, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins, they've won a lot of games, it's a reboot. But that's not an indictment that they're not going to contend. Let's get to our friend, our NFL insider. I love talking to Jason Cole. He joins us now here. Jace, isn't that where we are right now with the Eagles? I mean, it's not a retool, like they're not revamping, but it's a reboot because you got money that's coming. You got to have to play Jalen Carter next year. You got a lot of rookie guys that you have a lot of faith in. And isn't this just where we are right now?
Well, I think you've got like another really clean year of, before you have to start making some decisions on guys. And you paid the quarterback in advance a little bit. So the quarterback money it's high, but it's not crazy high. And yeah, once you pay Carter, now that's going to be north of $40 million a year. Now, based on the Garrett contract and what was the other defensive guy? Oh, Crosby's deal. Between those two deals, it's told you where Carter's going to be north of that. So it's going to get a little tight then. But smart teams know how to sort of backfill their rosters with solid players in the draft, and as long as you keep doing that, that allows you to stretch that period a little bit. But yeah, eventually, when too many contracts mature at the same time, sort of like what the 49ers are going through right now, you have to lop off, some significant players. Now, they're not necessarily stars. Like the 49ers have lost a lot of depth here, and everybody thinks that the roof is caving in. But they still have the quarterback, and they still have the tight end, and they still have the running back, and they still have the left tackle. So they have a chance to compete this coming year. It's just they don't have the depth of their roster that would allow them to tolerate losing a star or two in injury. They're much closer to a team that can cave in again than they are to one that should compete for a title.
You know what? You just brought a spectacular point up here. When the Eagles move off of players, they're moving off of really good players. They're not moving off of exception. I mean, Milton Williams is a good player. $26 million? I don't know. Josh Sweat, $20 million?
Can I say something about Milton Williams? And I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, because God bless him that he got paid. Like any kid who can get money in this thing, more power to him. But the fact that Milton Williams was rated by some people as the number one player in free agency tells you more about the quality of player that gets to free agency than anything else. Star players don't get to free agency in this system. So if you build your team based on the principle that you have to have 3, 4, 5, 6 big-time star players, and you got to pay them whatever it is that they demand, that those guys aren't getting out there. They just don't. That doesn't happen. Milton Williams was a good complementary player who, frankly, probably owes a fair percentage of his contract to Jalen Carter. That's just how that is. And again, God bless him. He made the money, because it's hard to get cash in this business. But he was in the right place at the right time. There's a little bit of that.
Jason, here's the difference between, or wait, you tell me the difference between Dallas and Philly. What does Philly do better than Dallas? And why? Get this, in the last 25 years, the team that's got the second most playoff wins to New England is the Philadelphia Eagles. And they have 4 Super Bowl appearances since 2000 with 2 wins. Cowboys have 4 wins. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 times and 4 wins in the last 25 years. What does Philly do with Joe Banner and Howie Roseman that's different than what Dallas? They can't seem to get out of their own way.
They don't make every major contract a fight to see who's going to win. Philly pays people, and they pay them in advance, and they take care of them, and they're well, and they don't make everything like. Yeah, there's some difficult negotiations. Don't get me wrong, but they don't make it a spectacle where, watch it come down to the deadline every single time, and are they going to pay him? Are they not going to pay him? Are they going to do this? And it's like, hey, look, we know we got to pay the player. Pay the player. We know it's going to cost a fair amount of money. We know what it is. To Jerry, I think that Jerry gets distracted by the art of the deal and winning the deal and the attention that goes with the deal getting done, more than the functionality of, look, I got a star player and I got to pay him. Okay. In the same way, and it's a weird way, like Al Davis over the last 20 years of his football career got a lot more jacked up about winning off-field battles and where he's going to move his team and beating the league, rather than, hey, focus on winning football games. Focus on doing things that you have to do to win games. Stay ahead of the curve. Okay. Jerry's been fighting with players about paying them all the way back to Emmitt Smith, right? remember that famous one where he missed the first 2 games of the season? He's been doing this for the entire time. Stop fighting with players who have to get paid. Pay them in advance so you get a little bit of savings over here, and that allows you to spend over there. The other thing about it is, look, the Cowboys are just cheap when it comes to players. What they've done in free agency the last couple of years, and this year so far, is just criminal because they have the money to spend. They could have had Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry next to Dak Prescott makes Dak Prescott a whole heck of a lot better player. He makes CeeDee Lamb a better player. He makes whoever the tight end is a better player. Great players help other great players perform at high level, which is why, like Indianapolis, when they had Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark and Edgerrin James, like you couldn't stop those guys. And now Philly has Jalen Hurts, Brown, Smith, Goddard,
Barkley,
and Barkley, and like they can score pretty much whenever they need to score in most games.
I would even say, like you said, it's a great example. Dak Prescott's contract was stupid the way they negotiated it. I don't even the quietest $250 million deal I've ever seen signed was by Nicole Lynn, and how they did that whole deal with Jalen Hurts. I mean, all of a sudden it parachuted in and the deal was done. There was no bitching back and forth, and there was no negotiating what we knew of publicly. And they just seem to make a spectacle out of that with the CeeDee Lamb. They're probably going to make a spectacle out of the whole thing with Micah Parsons. And everything is done a lot quieter when you're talking about how Philly does it.
Yeah, it's not quiet necessarily because they're secretive. It's not really. It's quiet because they know they have to do it. You have to take care of the player, so you just do it. Like you just sit there and you say, I know what the price of a poker is here. Let's get to the table. Let's ante up. I'm going to lose a little bit here. You might lose a little bit here, but we're happy. And that's how you take care of your players.
Couple questions NFL for you. Chicago.
You're going in, Dan. You're going in and out a little bit. Can I come back? Can I leave and then come back?
Please, come back here.
Well, actually, all right.
Yeah, come back here. Just reboot here. I mean, I think the quintessential example of how what does Philly do different than Dallas in how they build their team? It's quieter. It's simpler. They don't overpay. I mean, look at what they're doing. Hey, do you guys not agree? Like, I think that was a great point by Jason Cole here. Let's bring Jason back in here. Hopefully we got him on a better connection here. Jace, you got us better here?
Yeah, it's better now.
How about, Jace, you know what's funny? Jerry Jones would have signed Milton Williams and Josh Sweat, right? The Eagles are going to move on from them. And that's the one thing New England did when they were in their championship run. They moved off of Darrell Reeves. They moved off of Richard Seymour. They moved off of tough cuts where they had to move away from. That's one thing Dallas won't do.
Well, yeah, they did the same thing with the guard, right? Logan Mankins. And again, I think you're frozen right now, but now, all right, now you're back. But Logan Mankins was an example. When Randy Moss got, they had enough of Randy Moss, they moved off from Randy Moss. Wes Welker. Yes, they generally moved off guys at the right time. You're seeing that in Kansas City. Kansas City had Joe Thuney, right? Joe Thuney just had a terrific season this last year, where he played. He sacrificed himself a little bit to not look so great to play left tackle. Did something great for the team, but they said, like, look, we need the money and we need to spend it somewhere else. We can probably replace a left guard. We'll retool some other way. And they traded Thuney to Chicago, and found a partner in Ryan Poles, the general manager in Chicago. It's a guy who knew Thuney. Said, okay, I'll take that guy. I'm trying to fix my team right now. So this is what teams make hard cuts. Like this is one of the ones that San Francisco had to suffer with this last year. And I'm not trying to be critical of Kyle Shanahan, because I understood at the time. In fact, I remember I asked the question at the beginning of training camp from John Lynch, was once you have Brandon Ayuk and you're getting closer and closer to the season, right? The closer you get to the season, the more anxious you get about the season. And the more anxious you are about, hey, we can go back to the Super Bowl and we can do it again. And you let logic kind of stray, and you say, I'm going to pay Brandon Ayuk like I'm paying a true number one guy, right? Up there at the top end of the scale. And I'm going to give him a little more than I probably should give him, even though he's a really good player. He's maybe not a great player. And I know the kid got hurt, but they overpaid to keep him, and that cost them some other places. Whereas if they had traded him for the first round pick or the second round pick that they were going to get and let somebody else pay him, they would have let Pearsall play a little bit more. Jennings would have played, and they may have made this round of cuts a little bit easier for themselves this time around. But again, this is a team coming off of a Super Bowl, was that close to winning it, and felt like if we just put the band back together, we'll get there. It all blew up in their face because they had so many injuries. That's bad luck. I mean, I'm not saying they were wrong to do what they were doing. I understood it, but it was an emotional decision rather than a logical decision.
By the way, you're freezing on your end. We can hear you perfectly. So just so you know, we're getting what you're saying.
Okay.
So you're just freezing up. It's all good here. I want to ask you a couple NFL questions. It's time in Chicago now, isn't it, Jason? I mean, they've made a lot of moves here now, and that football team's got to start winning now. I mean, they went out a year ago. They went from the perimeter in. This year, they went from the inside out, which is the more Tom Coughlin way of building a football team, was building it from the O-line. I think they took a page out of Philly. I mean, but Caleb Williams, this is Caleb Williams' time now, right? He's got to show that he can be the guy to carry that football team to the playoffs.
We're talking about the Bears right now. I'm sorry,
Bears.
Yeah,
Bears.
Again, you went in and out, but I'll make. I thought I heard that. Yeah, I think the Bears made the wise choices in how to build their football team and give Caleb Williams a chance, and with a new head coach. The only problem I got is I still think the weapons around him are just okay, not great. And Caleb Williams has a problem that he's got to fix internally, which is he holds the ball way too long, right? And he's got to fix that on his own. And he's done it ever since he was in college. He probably did it back in high school. They never saw him play in high school. And Ben Johnson's just got to get it out of his head of, look, ball's got to get out. As talented as you are, we've got to focus on ball gets out on time as much as possible. And then if you have to resort to making plays with your legs, then you do that, after all else fails, not primarily. And that's got, and I heard from a few people that, Caleb will never change that, as talented as he is. It's just part of his makeup. I believe that it can be coached out of you. It's not a hesitation thing, because it's not like EJ Manuel, if you remember EJ Manuel. Who just hesitated on making plays. I believe in my own ability to make a play so much that I don't take seriously what the defenders are doing around me.
I gotta say something. You're kicking ass today with this, and I just realized right now why Ben Johnson was so pursued by Chicago, because that was the thing that drove Sean McVay nuts in LA, was that Goff would hold the ball too long in LA.
That much too long.
He would hold it, and Ben Johnson coached that out of him in Detroit. And that's why he got that $53 million annual extension, Jason, was because he coached that, and Chicago thinks he can do the same thing to Caleb Williams. It's a great way of looking at that, Jason. That's exactly right.
Well, we'll see. I that's what I think.
You're right.
Watching the kid, because I think the kid can really play. I just think he has to, in his mind, again, because it's not a lack of recognition. It's not a lack of understanding what's going on around you. It's too much confidence. It's too much belief in your own ability to make a truly great play. And he got away with it when he was playing the Pac-12 because the defenses just weren't as good, and you could play 7-on-7 ball. And because Lincoln Riley never pounded into his head, you can't do that. He was allowed to roam too much. I think that now he got hammered pretty hard this first year, and now he's got a much better coach who's going to say, no, ball's got to get out. We can hold it a little bit, but the ball's got to get out.
Help me out on this one here. Why in the world did the Steelers make a move for DK Metcalf when they don't have the quarterback position figured out yet? I mean, you sign him.
Do you want to lean on George Pickens?
I get that, but you don't have your quarterback situation. I mean, Rodgers, if I'm Rodgers, I'm not going to Pittsburgh. I'm going to Minnesota if I have that option where I could go. If I have a ready-made football team with Addison and Jefferson, the tight end, Aaron Jones, who I played with in Green Bay, he's up there. I mean, you got a good play caller and the head coach. You got a defense now that's been retooled, especially defensively, interior-wise. I'm not going to play in Pittsburgh, man. I mean, they just moved off of Najee Harris, who's now in Los Angeles. I mean, why would you go for DK Metcalf when you haven't isolated and rectified that situation yet at quarterback?
Well, you figured you were going to. You figured you were confident enough that you were going to go out and get somebody, and that Aaron Rodgers or whoever was going to come play for you, or in the back of your head that Russell Wilson's going to be there if you really need to have Russell Wilson, and you can fake it for another year with Russell Wilson, right? Which they don't want to do, but they're probably letting Russell go. In their worst case, they're going to let Russell go through the process of trying to find a new home, and Russell's not going to find a new home, and he's going to come back to them and say, okay, unless Rodgers signs right away, in which case the musical chairs is that Russell Wilson's, SOL, right? So you're playing a little bit of musical chairs. It's not the perfect way to do it, but sometimes you have to go out and, they've been trying to get a wide receiver for a long time. I mean, they were in on Ayuk a year ago, right?
Yep.
Like they've been desperate about this, because as good as Pickens is, Pickens is a pain in the ass. I mean, Pickens is a guy who shows up one week, doesn't show up the next week. It's a problem with Pickens. So went and got a guy who, DK's a bit of a head case himself, but 90% of the time he plays damn hard football. And I'd rather invest in that guy than invest in Pickens. I can tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you, man, one thing about Pittsburgh, they can find wide receivers, but they also find AJ Brown. They find like Antonio Browns, and they find George Pickens, and these guys are talented, but they are clearly a
Deontay Johnson was a head case too, man. Like They find themselves some divas, man. Plaxico Burress. I love Plaxico.
Right on, man.
Well, I love Plaxico. I enjoyed writing a book with him. He's a great dude in a lot of ways, but he's a little touched too sometimes, man. He's a little touched.
He absolutely. Last one for you here, Jace. You think the Commanders have closed the gap? Do you think they got a shot at winning the NFC East this year with the moves that they've made?
They got a quarterback, man. They got a nice quarterback. I think the moves are okay. I think they shored up the defense a little bit. A lot will depend on Tunsil. Is Tunsil, which version of Tunsil are you getting? Are you getting a healthy one, or are you getting the guy who
the gas mask?
Well, the gas mask was a long time. I mean, he's 10 years removed. I mean, look.
Hey, he's a five-time Pro Bowler. He's good, man. I get it.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's had a really good 10-year career. I mean, that guy's outlived the whole gas mask thing. I mean, it'll always be there. Right. So, like, that's not the guy he was. But last season was not a good season. Last season looked like a guy who'd fallen apart quite a bit, and you don't know is that just time has finally caught up with him and he's done, or is it a one-off season that okay, he's he can get back to a playable self. If he is back to that, they've rectified their line quite a bit and made themselves more dangerous. I don't think they've closed the gap so significantly since the end of last season that I'd be truly worried about them. But in this league, everybody's 2 or 3 injuries away from being a whole lot different football team. So they're there. They position themselves where they can make a run. They got to the NFC Championship game and it was legit. Like they surprised people, but it wasn't because they got lucky. It was because they were legitimately a good team.
Absolutely. Jace, free agency, awesome. It's like Christmas shopping, man. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Every year. Two Christmas days for every football fan. First day of free agency, first day of the draft. That's Christmas, man. So Super Bowl doesn't mean anything to 98% of the fans. Okay, they don't care. Just give me first day of free agency. Give me the draft, and I am on the way. I am buying my Super Bowl tickets those 2 days, man. I am jacking up the credit cards. Buying hotel rooms already.
Wait, Jace. Funny you say that. What's more of a fan time? Optimism in spring training for baseball or optimism in free agency and in the draft for the NFL fan?
Oh, I mean, the draft and free agency are cocaine compared to to what baseball are. I mean, it's in fact, it's crack. I mean, it's absolute crack cocaine for fans. That's how high they get. Football fans just it's crazy how much they think, we fixed our whole team. I mean, the number of people who will say, we just drafted 5 starters after the draft. If you drafted 5 starters, you know what that tells me? Your team sucks. Because there's no way you should be drafting 5 guys who are going to start for you right away unless you're terrible, right? And that means stop making goofy remarks about how that one draft has turned us around, this one, and everything's going to turn. No, it doesn't work that way. Neither does it in free agency. It's all part of a much more cleverly put together process. And fans are crazy when it comes to the draft. And God bless them because they love to pay attention to it. So I shouldn't complain too much, but it is a little nuts.
Fans can become a mess with this stuff. Jace, I appreciate it, brother. Have a great weekend.
You too. Be good.
You got it. That's our good friend, Hall of Fame voter, Jason Cole, NFL insider too. We love talking with him each and every single week as he takes time for us here. Thanks him so much. I mean, the NFL, no question about it. This is a great time. So I've been watching you guys and the great little conversation that Xander and I have. So Joshua Acho Ucha. How many sacks did he have? Let me see something here. In 2022, he had 11 and a half sacks. Let me take a look at something here. Nolan Smith. Hold on. Not Nolan Smith. Bryce. Huff and Stuff. Stats. (2023) he had 10 sacks. Bryce Huff and Joshua Acho. Let me ask you something here. So those two guys had double-digit sack seasons. What happened to them? And you're talking to me about a small sample size. How do you know he's not dumb dudes? How do you know he's not those guys? He has no consistency of playing like Sweat did. Sweat's got 40 sacks in 5 years. How do you know he's not? These guys had double-digit sacks. Bryce Huff and Joshua Ucha had double-digit sacks. How do you know Nolan Smith's not these guys? And he's in more of a limited role, playing with really great players, too. So, I mean, to sit here on March 14th, 2025, to tell me that guy's going to be better or is better than Sweat when these guys had breakout years too. And now both those players are bums. And teams moved off of him. How do you know he's not that guy? There is exactly right here. Last year, the Eagles were even looking at that kid when he was in New England. How do you know he's not this guy? And he's in a smaller sample size. To sit there and tell me here on March 14th that guy's going to take the role of Sweat when I could give you prime examples of two guys that are on your own team who were cast off after having double-digit sack years and are young. I mean, that's why you got to take a look. No, that's not true. By the way, once again, how do you know he's not that guy? You have no track record yet. And the years prior to that, he was a non-factor. Now, you're coming off a good one here. Like those guys are coming off those. Both these guys had double-digit sacks. And this guy just signed for $1 million. I mean, that's why. Take the consistent guy versus the splash guy. You'll always win. One thing you could say about Milton Williams. Milton Williams is a solid player. Is he overpaid? Yeah. But one thing he is true, gives you versatility. And is he a splash number guy? No. Same thing with Sweat. You could say whatever you want about Sweat. Last 3 years, like I said, the guy's got 28 sacks in 3 years. Not sure what you're talking about. But hey, what have I said today? What have I said today? That's not true. Sills does whatever. I told you you were doing the right thing and you're having an A+ offseason. Daz, what the hell are you talking about? This guy, again, he's another guy. Got to pat him on the head, make him feel good. Give him a Tootsie Roll. Okay? Well, Daz, if you just got here, that's your mistake, Junior. Should be here at the beginning. No. Hey. Nobody doesn't come under the wrath of Big Sills. Hey, Daz, all good here, man. Xander said you just popped in. You're having an A+ offseason. You're retooling the team. I don't think you've done anything wrong. It's a retool. What does that mean? 14 wins? Doesn't happen. 12 wins does? You're still in it? It's all good, dude. I don't think you've done one thing wrong. Maybe the Gardner Johnson thing. How about this? I'll tell you what I'll do. Since Xander is feeling sorry for Daz, I'll reset. Still's the wicked witch of the West. Hey, big bad. Sileo is public enemy number 1 in Philly. How you doing? I get it. Tell you what I'll do. Daz, just for you. Okay? Just for you, Daz. I'm going to reset. Is that cool? All right? We'll reset here. Do me a favor, guys. Make sure you check out my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in America. Best track record of anybody when it comes to serving people across the country on getting the right return for folks if they've been injured. Like I said, it's the #1 injury law firm in the country with over $20 billion recovered for their clients with over 1,000 attorneys across the country. It is the largest in America. In PA, right here in PA, family had $650K initially offered from an insurance company. John Morgan and his team got $26 million in recovery for that family. Down in Florida, $350K was offered to an initial family, and it was offered initially. No way. John Morgan got $12 million for that respected family because he knew it wasn't the right thing, and they will fight for you, and they always will fight for you. If you're ever injured, please check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or #529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/Big Sills or #529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Please hit the like button. Daz, I rarely do this, but I'm going to reset for you. Xander showed mercy on you. I don't show mercy on anybody usually, but it's Lent. So, I'm trying to be a kinder Big Sills. Maybe impossible. But I'm trying to be a little bit kinder here. By the way, we're going to talk about my top 10. Got a new ranking for the Eagles and your core, your top 10. I got that here for you. By the way, Mike Vrabel makes a comment saying that, hey, Milton, be prepared. We need more out of you. Be prepared to play more. He's already telling them that $26 million, expectations aren't for you what they were in Philly. It's more. You know, it's funny. I had a conversation with my daughter over this. We were talking about the Eagles, and we were talking about some of the moves that they made. And she started asking me about some of the players, Josh Sweat, what have you, CJ, and then she came to Milton. Kind? Don't be a snowflake. Don't worry, Jeff. Yeah, okay, that's what I'll do. She asked me about Milton, and I said this. My daughter's playing in a big tournament this weekend that we're going to. She's starting for a professional rugby team. My daughter plays professional rugby now. She was a 4-year starter in college, 3-year captain, went to the national finals 3 years in a row. And she's one of the best players on the West Coast. And she asked me about Milton and her current team, GCU, doing really well. But I talked to the coach. Dee played in Phoenix a couple months ago, and I went there, and her coach, Kyle, said to me one thing. I'll tell you one thing about Danielle. You know, she wasn't the flashiest player that we had starting for us. But you know what she was? She did everything, and it took 3 players to replace her. My daughter could go in rucks. My daughter could throw the ball out. My daughter was a great passer. My daughter was a great hitter. All of that. She says it took 3 people to replace her. I think that's what it's going to take to replace Milton Williams. You're going to need 3 players to replace Milton Williams. You know why? He could play the 5, the 7, the 3, and Stink said the same thing yesterday. He said it wasn't so much in the numbers. It was the versatility he gave you along the line. And that's what Vic used. Vic used him in multiple fronts. That's why that guy's going to, you think Milton's going to be an easy replace because you think that it's about numbers. No, it's about what your value was. Milton Williams' value is his versatility. That's what he brings. That's what he brings to the table. Okay? Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you again. I compared her. I said, yeah, Dee, you're like Milton Williams. When you're gone, they'll miss you. Because you know why? The things you did will take 3 people. Will take 3 people to replace him. How you doing? Did the Commanders close the gap? All right. Did the Commanders close the gap? I think the gap is still wide, but I do think that the Commanders got better. So, Daz, I'll say this to you here, and I'll do it one more time. Between the schedule that you're going to play, we'll look at the schedule, and some of these, like, nothing signs that they've had. They're looking to fill the 91-man roster. They've taken a blowtorch to your defense. Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat. Okay, wake me up when the guy plays a few years. We'll find out. How you doing? Yeah, John McMullen even says, you you're shopping at IKEA, Temu. Hey, I'd like to buy a table. I'd like to buy a sofa. Well, get it at Temu, and maybe if not there, IKEA, and I'll get the lampshades over at TJ Maxx and the candle holders. You're not going to go to Neiman Marcus? Hell no. I'm going to TJ Maxx and Marshalls. That's where they're going. Oh, no. John's going to get Sileo-ized. Oh, no. You've been hanging around Sileo too long. John says he's shopping at T. Well, he is. Look at that. They listen to everything. Now you know how you do. Hey, Howard. No, you're Howie. Shit, I've been giving this guy more kudos than anybody. Not panicked. He deserves your patience. He deserves the latitude. I'm giving it to him. He just won a freaking Super Bowl. And I thought Jeremiah really had a really great question for me. Hey, Sills, on March 14th, 2024, did you really have any different feelings that you have now about going into this year, about this group of kids right now? We still don't know the draft. Could there be a trade? I don't know. Yeah, probably had the same. Okay, probably. It's a good question. I still think, and I said, and I'm officially calling it, it's a reboot. I don't think that's a wrong comment. I think it's a reboot. That doesn't mean losing. That doesn't mean losing. Get this here. This guy, hey, I want to thank you very much. I'm not going to read anything you're saying because I don't care really, but probably stupid shit that you are and the dumbness that you are. Keep hitting the algorithm, guy. I need probably 10 more posts. And please hit the dislike button too, because it doesn't really matter if you hit the dislike or the like, but I do want you to hit. Because to me, again, it's just engagement. It's not like the radio and those stupid shows you have in Philly that are on the radio. So I appreciate it there, kid. This guy sat around here for 2.5 hours talking shit and being dumb, and he doesn't realize. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Not that I'll ever read anything you say because completely it's nonsense and you're nonsense, but keep hitting the algorithm. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Whatever you say, the chances of me reading anything you post are 0. I just see L loser or whatever. Reading your shit is so unlikely. It's funny, my aunt asked me, do you see? Oh, I see all the people that Big Rhythm and Charlie and Barb and Curtis and all these guys. I see people in here. Okay. Still, sweat argument sounded like Reddick again. They didn't replace Reddick. They still haven't. Here's the deal, though. Big Rhythm. Okay, they didn't replace Reddick. They won a Super Bowl without Reddick. All right. Nolan Smith doesn't have to be Reddick. You get it? At the end of the day, really, Nolan Smith doesn't have to be Reddick. Sweat didn't have to be Reddick. They won a Super Bowl. So Reddick gave you what? 16 sacks, 11 sacks, whatever it was? What did he give you? Like, counting the playoffs, he gave you 30 sacks? Something like that, right? In the 2 years he was there? End of the day, they won a Super Bowl without him. Nolan Smith will be Reddick. Wake me up when it happens. Will be. Potential. I hate that word. Means you hadn't done it. Shane. They can't. Do we know Jalix Hunt can play? No. Question 2. No. Do we know he can't play? No. Do we know he can play? No. Right. I know Milton and Josh can play. I know that. Seals, did you hit my super chat with Sweat and Reddick? Yeah. We just did it, brother. I said this. Nolan Smith doesn't have to be. And Josh Sweat didn't have to be Hassan Reddick. They won the Super Bowl without it. They just have to be good football players. And by the way, for the record on Reddick, I never thought he was a good run player. I think that's probably one of the things that really rubbed Vic the wrong way. I'll tell you one thing that Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith do better than Reddick. I think they're better all-around players. I never thought Hassan Reddick was a good run player. I never thought Javon Hargrave was a good run player. And I think San Francisco found that out. This is a great question here by Cobra. Like it. Guys, do me a favor. Give me a total on the likes. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Seals, do you believe that there's some nobody players on this roster that will surprise us this year? You mean like Joshua Uchiacho, Uchia, or Chia Pet, or something, whatever he is. You mean somebody like that? Somebody on the roster? Emilio Uchoacho. Somebody could step up? I say Moro Jomo. I think Moro Jomo is going to be a surprise. That's going to be my breakout player. I think he's going to be a good football player. I do. I've been talking high about this guy for 3 years. Okay? I think he's going to be a good football player. Keep up the good work, Sales. Shane, thank you for being here, brother. I appreciate that. I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't always agree with you, but you speak truth and give facts. Best Philly sports channel in the business. Love you, brother. Me too, Shane. Great stuff, man. Okay? Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. Keely Ring. Okay, that's a great question. African Surf, says Ringo. What guy on the roster do you think is going to be the surprise? What player on the roster? I got Moro Jomo. I think he will be. I think he's going to be a good football player. Okay? I like that. Let me see who else. Here's my problem with Trotter. I just don't know if he's fast enough. You know, I never thought that TJ Edwards was a speed demon, though. You know, I didn't think he was. What do you guys think of Tristan McCullum? Every time I see that guy step on the field, I like him. He's a good football player. I think Vic likes him, too. I like Tristan McCullum. Okay? I do. I dig him, man. Cobra says, why is it that Quinyon Mitchell came in his rookie year and did a good job, but nobody thinks that Ringo can do the same? Well, let me ask you this then, Cobra. Why is it that when they needed a guy to play corner, they went to Isaiah Rodgers and they never went to Ringo to play the corner? That's Vic Fangio's decision. I mean, why didn't they go? If they thought that highly of Ringo, why didn't they go to him? Isaiah Rodgers had missed a full season with gambling. Wasn't like he had played consistent football the last couple of years. Why did they go to him and not go to Keely Ringo? I mean, ask yourself that. Or like with Sidney Brown. I get Sidney was coming off the knee injury of a year ago, but whenever they needed a safety, they went to Tristan McCullum. They didn't go to Sidney Brown. And that's the coordinator making those. The coordinator makes the personnel decisions, not the position coaches. Okay? I mean, I mean, like I said, I'm like, and I don't know. I mean, so you think Keely Ringo never impressed Vic? Isaiah was proven where? He wasn't proven as a corner in Indianapolis. He was a special teams guy in Indianapolis. That's untrue. He was a special teams guy in Indy. Where was he proven? And he missed the season. Untrue. Fake news. That's not true. He was a better player than Keely Ringo. Now, I'll tell you, one thing about Ringo I brought up with Xander. He's a very young kid. He's been in the league a couple of years, and they must see something in him to keep him on the roster. Hey, like I said, I mean, how many years now is this? Help me out here on Keely Ringo. Coming up this year on 2025, how many years will he be on the roster? Let me take a look at him. Let's just take a look at his career. Keely Ringo, that you guys think is going to keep take over for Slay. Let's take a look at this. Keely Ringo. How long has he been in the league here? Okay. So he's going on his third year, right? He's got 5 starts in 2 years. He's been active for 34 games. You mean to tell me, after 34 games, you don't know who the hell that guy is? You have no idea who he is after 34 games. Really? With 5 starts. Shit, I saw Jalen Carter play 6 games. I knew he was a stud. How do you not? This is his third year. Okay, I mean, so you're going to have 3 years. He's 22 years old. It's young. Shit, the quarterback in Washington's 25 already. He's 22. Okay, he's 22 years old. Heading into his third year. Played 34 games. I don't know, kid. About time you got to start showing me something here. I don't think he's a late bloomer, Sue. I just think he should have redshirted in college. And I think that's probably why the Eagles are redshirting him on their team. They're just waiting to see if this guy's got something. I don't know. But to sit there and think that guy's going to walk in when the coordinator doesn't even think that highly of him, I don't know what you're thinking. Okay? I just don't. So we'll see. Again, I like the guys. I like the guys' positioning where they're thinking he could be something. Okay? Look at this guy here. So this guy would have you believe that because he had 45 games, who said that? He had 7 starts. Isaiah Rodgers. 10 in Indianapolis. How many games in Indy did he play? Played 45 games in Indianapolis. He had 10 starts. He was a special teams guy the majority of that time, and he was also a guy who came in on nickel. He was a nickel guy. Okay? The 2021 season, he was good, but he was never a starter. He started 10 games in, 45 games? That sound like a starter to you? Oh, now, man. Come on now. All right. I am going to give you my top 10 Philadelphia Eagles on the roster right now. These are my top 10 players. Write these guys down here. The guys that I look at the roster. And my 10 dudes. Here we go. The Big Sills. Top 10. Philadelphia Eagles. As of March 14th. Hit the like button. Give me a total. Hey, Bart, give me a total here. All right. Number 10. Devontae Smith. Number 9. Quinyon Mitchell. Number 8. This is going to shock you. I got Cooper DeJean. I really like him. By the way, if Ryan Clark can say that the NFL is racist towards black quarterbacks, here's one for you, Ryan. The NFL was racist in not drafting Cooper DeJean in the first round because he's white. At least mine's real. The first 2 quarterbacks that will be drafted in the upcoming NFL draft are going to be black. That guy is so off the reservation. This guy thinks the NFL hates black quarterbacks, when the majority of the black quarterbacks are in the top 10 highest paid players in the league. The guy's a raving idiot. Even the brothers hate him with those takes. Are you out of your mind? How stupid is that? Cooper DeJean was taken in the second round because he's white. That's a fact. Hey, you doing? I got Cooper at 8. I like him, man. I think he's going to have a better career than Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know. I look at him, I see a Kyle Hamilton maybe. Can you imagine if that guy develops into Kyle Hamilton? You got that guy roving around in the middle of your football field? The guy teacup Derrick Henry. I've never seen Derrick Henry put on his back like that. I have never seen that. The guy was a really impactful football player last year. I like the kid, man. Dude, the chances of Cooper DeJean playing his entire career and being a Brandon Graham and a 15-year guy in Philly, I think there's a better chance of him than Q on being a long-term Eagle. 10-plus years. I mean, I think he's look, I got the 2 rookies as part of my top 10. That's insane. That's how high I think. I told you I want to see more from him, but I expect a lot from him. They've moved Devontae to 10th, and I love Devontae. I do. I got Devontae 10, Q9, Cooper 8. Number 7, the greatness of the Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts. Got him 7. Number 6, I think he's one of the top 3 offensive guards in pro football. I got Landon Dickerson. Dude, tough, good, not good, great. That guy keeps doing what he's doing. He's going to Canton. Landon Dickerson is putting together a resume that looks like a guy who's going to Canton. You know what's crazy? You're going to have guys, Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and Landon Dickerson going to Canton. Number 5, I got A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown, without having him in that huddle and on that offense, he's really been tell you this, I did not expect him to be this good in Philly because he wasn't this good in Tennessee. Now, Ryan Tannehill was his quarterback. Okay? Number 4, I got Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter has Hall of Fame. I never thought about this, what I'm doing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is follow me here when I get done with this list. I got Jalen Carter at 4. 3, Lane Johnson. Hall of Famer. Number 2, I got Jordan Mailata. He's putting a Hall of Fame resume together. And number 1, 2025, March 14th, I got Saquon Barkley, number 1. Now, let me show you something here. Out of your top 10 players, can Barkley make the Hall of Fame? I don't know. The shitty years in New York kill him. He's had one exceptional season. The rest of them were okay. Not great. They were good. Not his fault. We'll see what he does the next 3 years. It could change the room. Number 2, Jordan Mailata. He continues on his path. He's going to Canton. Here's the thing with Zach Bond. I see people going, how come you didn't put Bond in your top 10? Well, as much as I want to see Cooper and Q do it again, I clearly want to see that guy do it again. Guy's been in the league 6 years. I want to see him do it one more time. And you would say, what about these 2? Well, these guys have only been in the league 1 year, and they did it one time. I think there's more upside with these guys. Lane Johnson is going to the Hall of Fame. Jalen Carter's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. AJ could make the Hall of Fame. Landon can make the Hall of Fame. Hurts, he wins another Super Bowl or even gets to one. If that guy gets 3 Super Bowls, wins 2 of them, has a Super Bowl MVP, I don't know. What are you talking about here? Say whatever you want. That guy wins another Super Bowl, or like I said, he's hanging around the room with the win percentage that he has. I don't know, man. How do you not have a conversation about that? I love Cooper and Q and Devontae. To me, Devontae reminds me a lot of Hines Ward. If I make a comparison, he's not quite Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison was always the primary target when he was in Indianapolis. It wasn't Reggie Wayne. The primary target was Marvin Harrison. Devontae's more like, he's more like Reggie Wayne. He's like that. Okay? I mean, You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 guys I picked could make it to Canton. They could make it to Canton. Of my list, God knows what Cooper and Q are going to do. My first 5 guys of my 10 favorite Eagles are Hall of Fame candidates. Landon, AJ, Carter, Lane, Mulata, and Barkley. Top 7, Hurts, Dickerson, AJ, Carter, Lane, Mulata, and Barkley. 7 of my 10 guys have a shot to make the Canton Hall of Fame. Don't talk to me about my list. That's what you're talking about. Your core of your team. You got 7 freaking Hall of Famers, potentially. Lane's going. Lane's going. You're going to start to get that conveyor belt going where every 5 years you're going to put an Eagle in. Okay? Top 7 guys are Hall of Fame worthy. That's where my list is. And Stoutland will be in Canton. So when you guys talk about my top 10 guys, you can argue Cooper. I just love Cooper and Q. I think those guys, dude, when you make that kind of impact as a rookie on a Super Bowl championship, you weren't just a rookie starting like for the Rams with Kitchens. You were a rookie starting on a Super Bowl championship team. Name me another corner who did that. Can you guys name that? Can you think of another corner who started his rookie year, went to the Hall of Fame, and won a Super Bowl in his rookie season? When's the last corner to win a Super Bowl in his rookie year starting, who was a first-round pick? Can you think of one? Deion didn't go to the Hall of Fame or didn't go to the Super Bowl his rookie year. He played in Atlanta. They may have won. I forget. Was that that was the Dan Reeves Super Bowl. He may have been. You may be right, Daz. Daz, you may be right. Maybe Deion went to the Super Bowl in his rookie year because I think that's the Chandler Super Bowl. That could be. I don't know. I didn't think Deion went to the Super Bowl his rookie year. Steels, do you think there's any chance of sophomore jinx after a long season? Billy, the one thing that they're going to do, coordinators are going to do to Cooper DeJean and Q, they're going to see their strengths and weaknesses. What's the one thing? Okay? What's the one thing that troubled you about Cooper DeJean's play last year? Remember Adam Thielen? Precise routes gave him trouble. Adam Thielen ran him around the room. He made him look awful. I mean, Adam Thielen schooled him. That was the one thing that you really looked at and how, that Carolina game, Adam Thielen was just torturing him. He tortured him. It was the worst game of the year for him. Adam Thielen is not one of your high-profile guys. However, you know what he did? He ran precise routes on him. And that absolutely frustrated him. Created all kinds of issues for him. So, my top 10, I got potentially 7 guys in my top 10 that could go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Think about that. So, again, if I had to pick something for a weakness on DeJean, it would be receivers like Kupp that run precise routes, something he's got to stay attuned to. You're going to see more of that this year. For Q, he can get turned around a little bit. And I thought a little bit of the long season kind of got him 2 of the last 5 games, but then he bounced back really well as he got into the playoffs. He really had a great year for a rookie. Okay, he really did. He had a great year. I thought he played exceptionally well. Mulata is not slowing down. Mulata's just getting better. Every single time I see him, every year he's playing, he completely gets better and better and better and better. When everything is said and done about Jordan Mulata, that guy just may be the best lineman the Eagles have had in 25 years. His feet, his hands, his enormous size that he has. I mean, he and plus the athlete. You know what's crazy great about the 2 offensive tackles that the Eagles have? Both of those guys play different positions, and they were different athletes. Lane was a tight end, and Mulata was a rugby player. We're not traditional offensive fat guys. They're exceptional athletes. They might be the best athletes I've ever seen on one team playing offensive tackle, right and left, I've ever seen. I can't think of it. I can't think of better athletes. I mean, just exceptional athletes. They get up in the second level. They get down the field. Mulata is a sensational athlete. You know, I've said this before to you. I think Jordan Mulata is probably the best athlete on the field for the Eagles. He's 6'8", 360. He's just exceptional. I mean, he's an exceptional football player. Jason Peters is a first ballot Hall of Famer, Jay. There's just no 9-time Pro Bowler, coached by Mudd. And, I mean, Stoutland had some of the greatest coaching. He's a first ballot. Lane is probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. You heard what hey, that may be right, Angelo. That's a good Angelo. You're right, Angelo. Ronnie Lott played corner his first year in the league with the 49ers. They went and played Cincinnati in Detroit. And he was on that team, I believe, in 81. I think you're right. Ronnie Lott. Then, I think either 2 years or 1 year later, they moved him. They moved him to safety. You might be right, Angelo. That's a great pull by you. You could be correct. Because Lott, when he came in from SC, he was a corner initially. And then they moved him to safety. Yeah, Lott is sensational. Steals Q squats on routes. Koopa's trouble against precise routes. Carter gets frustrated with doubles and runs around. That's all young guy stuff there, though, dude. Okay, listen. Q squats on routes. What he means by this, a guy runs at him and he'll squat, which means he stops his feet. The guy will get a quick release inside or a quick release outside. That's just reps, Samuel. It's a great analysis by you. That's exactly what he is and what he did this year. That'll get better. That's reps and seeing the game. Cooper's trouble with precise routes. You know why? He's playing a position where traditionally he was out on the corner and zone. So the more he sees it, the better he'll get at it. That's another rep issue. Carter gets frustrated with doubles. He wasn't doubled at Georgia. Why? Because the guys that were playing next to him were also MFers in college. He's seeing more of that now because you're not getting any kind of help from Jordan Davis or anybody else in the defensive line to take those double teams. And you're right. What happens to Carter is he gets double teamed and he quits on the play. Clint Hurt will say that to you. He'll quit on the play a little bit if he gets doubled. That's why Vic keeps saying this to him. Hey, he can't get frustrated. Frustrated is stopping your feet. Nolan's got to work on the chips. He's a little dude. And that's correct, Samuel. What they're going to do to Nolan Smith this year, what I would do, I'd run the football right at him. I'd run him over. He's a little dude. I'd put tight ends on him, and I would run his ass over. I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world. I would put physical tight ends on him, and I would run stretch plays on him and run him over and see if he can hold up to that. I don't think he can. He didn't hold up this year playing half the year. Went under the knife at the end of the year. Let's see if he can do that for 20 weeks. Hunt, I don't know yet. I'll tell you what both of them do and play well with. They play great energy. Okay? All right, guys, do me a favor. NC2A tournament starting up. Our great friends at BetUS are here with us for our YouTube 150. Got that NCAA tournament coming up here, man. Absolutely a great time for you to start making your wagers now. 125% on our YouTube special. Signing up for 2K, your second, third are 125%. If you're into crypto, that's 200%. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Are you ready for this? This is according to Adam Schefter. The Jamar Chase deal, if everything goes, and I just got the rip in Cincinnati, it's going to be in the range of $40.1 to $41 million annually, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. So that would mean this: if they sign him to that contract, you're going to have a $40 million wide receiver and a $28 million wide receiver this year in Cincinnati. Hey, that makes the Eagles 35-25 look like chicken feed. Holy cow. Let me say that again. Expected $40 to $41 million for Jamar Chase's new deal, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the National Football League. And that's Duke Tobin, who I think is a damn good GM. It's the owner that's not that hot. Like I say, the owner has kind of got like alligator arms. When he will, you know, the guy that when you go to dinner, he's the guy with alligator arms. Oh, I'll get the check. He's always a guy like this. Yeah. Hey, I can't, he's the guy that does this. Holy cow. That's big money, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody. Have yourself a great weekend. Yeah, man. Hey, guess what? Howie had a great week shopping over at TJ. Got some great deals at TJ Maxx. Get a good couple of lamp holders and some candle holders. Fill out the roster as you're getting ready to start up with the draft. Appreciate everybody. Stay tuned. John and Xander are going to do a special show to recap the full week of all the great signs. We appreciate you guys. Big Z, Big Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 on Monday, and we will see you on the flip side.